How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing all right. I'm Steve, and
I'm Jason.
that's Jay.
Yeah, this whole thing we never get it right.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so we are doing a live stream. This is our first live stream for our interview um
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
Usually we do our Caecilium, but we thought we'd do something different. And our interviewee today is our good friend Alex. Alex the historian.
Hey,
Hello, everyone.
How
Hey,
you doing,
Steve. Hey,
Alex?
Jason.
how's it going, Alex?
Going good. Going good. It's been a while since I've seen you guys.
Yeah,
You guys can follow Alex on his YouTube channel.
All right. Alex, the historian, you guys.
What are you the historian of?
Everything.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about.
and we got our first.
Hello, Alex.
That's the other Steve. Hello,
That's
Steve.
Steve, right? Yeah. Hey, Steve.
Too many Steves, I know.
Yeah.
I honestly know a lot of Steves, and I was telling that Steve that there is a Jason that works at my apartment complex who looks like Steve. That Steve,
That's funny.
the ribbon Steve. So I know a Steve, a Jason, and another Steve, and then another Steve that looks like a Jason.
Yeah, that's funny.
And there's like 3 or 4 Steves on my street.
Well, I have my interactive realm company, whatever, and then my friend of mine out here has a friend who has a company called Realm Interactive. Like, that's really weird.
Too funny.
So
what are we going to talk about?
well, this guy right here. Where should we start here? From the beginning? When did you take your first?
Should we start with like how I met you guys? Then we can go back from there as to like where I started.
We've told the story ourselves a few times, but never from your point of view. So
yeah, let's go ahead.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the story?
So one day I was being harassed. No, no. I obviously already had my YouTube channel by then, and at the time I was only Disneyland content, and so I used to visit the park about every week or so. And I don't remember, Steve, did I meet you in the park first or at that meetup first?
No, in the park.
In the park, right? Okay.
Yeah, your soup, remember?
The soup,
your
yes.
chowder.
So I go to this restaurant in Frontierland called Harbor Galley, and I used to get this lobster mac and cheese. And so I was just having lunch there. I was in the middle of filming vlogs and stuff, so I'm taking a break, I'm eating lunch. But I actually got a soup this time, and I want to say clam chowder because I was just feeling clam chowder that day.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there at the seating area, and then here comes Steve and his friend. And Steve's like, "Oh, you're Alex the historian." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." I try to be really friendly and talk to people who want to talk to me in the park.
No.
I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I just got in conversation with Steve, and the conversation kept going and going until his friend was
I'm like, yeah, you gotta leave because my soup's getting cold.
But conversation, can you go now?
Yeah.
But it was really fun to talk to him, and we had a lot in common and a lot to say. And then I think the second time I saw you was at the meetup. We had a friend that did like
the second time was I was trying to find my cousin, and I found you instead. And then that's when I said, "Hey, I have an extra camera. Do you want it?" And that's when and then I think at the meetup is when I gave you the camera or something like that. I don't remember, or it was after the meetup. I don't remember anymore.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, but it was a few times because you came. My sister had a little birthday get together for me over at Disneyland, and we asked Alex to come, and so we hang out with that. And then I think it was after that the meetup came, I think, with Chris.
Yes. Yeah. And that's when we met Chris for the first time in person.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
LMG
And then
vids. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, LMG vids. I felt so starstruck. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been following LMG vids for like since 2015 and, now I'm getting to meet him,
Yeah.
But and then I met Jason because I think you had sent me an email at first kind of talking about how you enjoyed the channel and stuff like that and and you thought you could help me out and stuff and
because you were in your latest videos at that time, you were talking about you wanted to get this camera, and
yeah.
it's like, maybe I can help you out,
Yeah, because I had like a few different cameras when I started off my channel, and each one kind of went kaput, like
Yeah.
one at a time. The last one I had before the one that Jason got me, I had Steve's old camcorder, and that was good, but I wanted something that could do like 4K and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I want this. Back at the time, Osmo Pocket came out, the first one. And I was like, I want this and see, and Jason contacted me. He's like, I think I can help you out, like, and so at first it started off as just like kind of meeting you to do like a sponsorship kind of deal, like just kind of promote the channel and, and so, but we ended up like hanging out several times and it was just, we had like a lot of fun. And so we just became friends after that.
Yeah, even that first night that we sat down in like a Starbucks or something, we talked for like 3 hours, I think.
We did, yeah, we did, yeah. We were like just sitting down at Starbucks talking for several hours, but it was fun.
Funny.
I just ended up like talking about Disneyland the whole time and just everything. So there was just something that really clicked between all of us, Chris and then Steve and Jason and Brett and everybody else. There's so many people.
And then Steve and I met because of that little TV that he has back there. Because
that.
I made one, and then he was like, "Oh, how do you do that?" And I sent him some stuff, and then we met at the parks, and then like now we're all just like good friends and chat all the time. And
yeah, we're in like a big group chat on the phone. I wake up every morning. There's like, bzz, bzz, bzz.
Sometimes it's too much and I have to like turn it off.
Yeah. And then Chris just ignores us. And so
well, he's doing it right now. Chris should be coming on. He's not. But Chris, you're still welcome if you have time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's we talked about how we met, but what got you started actually wanting to make videos on YouTube?
So I had already been somewhat of a Disneyland historian. I had, all my life just been studying the place, studying Walt Disney. And, and back then there was no YouTube. So it was like everything you learned, you had to learn from books and from articles. And like, I just collected all kinds of physical media that I could learn, Disney from. And, but eventually, as I got older, YouTube came into the mix. And so, but at the time there was only like literally less than a handful of content creators who were making anything related to Disney, anything related to history. And a lot of the times it was like people who were kind of just like reading off of bullet points. And I thought, there should be like some kind of like channel that does like documentary style stuff that has like, excitement, adventure in, written into the script, And I thought, because I love to watch those old things on like way back when History Channel actually did history and stuff like that. They had really great, documentaries and stuff. And I thought that someone should do something like that for, Disney stuff. And so I thought I'll just do that myself. But what had really like made me actually do it though was at that time, that was 2016. And I had experienced several like tragic deaths in the family. My mother died. And then later on that year, my grandmother died. And so I needed something to kind of take my mind off of all that stuff because it was just dragging me down. And at the time I was like opening my own business and stuff like that. And it was just, there was a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what makes me happy? And I thought talking about Disneyland history makes me happy, So that's what finally gave me the final push to just make the channel. Because I thought, what does it hurt? So I started making videos, and at the time they were very like rudimentary videos, stuff I would never make today, because I just have much better quality today. But people loved the original series so much.
It
It
was
was
me.
just, yeah, Steve, yeah.
Yeah, we all met. So
Yeah, yeah.
And back then it was just like I just basically did like I put together a slideshow, and then I would talk over the slideshow. And it had no script, no anything like that. I just talked over a slideshow, and it was kind of like a lecture series. But over time, I learned how to make these documentary style videos that I really liked, and yeah, I just went from there. So
to this day, when I edit my audio, I'm like, nope, doesn't sound like Alex's. Your voice, you just have like this
Yeah.
natural like narration that just sounds good, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
that took a while to develop that. I basically, it was just all trial and error. I was just like, okay, I don't like how that sounded. I'm going to redo that again. And I just kept, redoing it until it sounded like what I wanted it to sound like.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I'm still fine tuning it, So
Yeah, but at least your voice doesn't do like mine, where he goes.
I know.
no, I'm done with
a little
puberty.
girl, and I gotta edit it out.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what came first? Your interest in Disney or working at Disney?
My interest at Disney came first. I think the first time I ever really realized that I was kind of like obsessed with the history of the park was probably 2002. And I was just like a kid back then. What was I, 10? Yeah, I was 10. And yeah, I remember having conversations, with like friends and my family's roommates and stuff like that about like Walt Disney and stuff, and talking about the park. And I used to draw like pictures of Disneyland. So like to this day, I could draw a picture of Disneyland as it was in like 2010 or 2015.
Hmm.
Because it's like all that is just solidified into my memory. I could walk the park with my eyes closed. And so I used to just draw pictures of Disneyland. And I think the biggest one I ever drew, which I still own, it's framed. It's like a 3 foot by 3 foot picture of the park. And yeah, so that was when my interest started. But I remember when I got old enough, I was 17, I was old enough to have my first job. And I immediately told my dad, I'm like, well, I'm going to apply for Disney because I really want that job. My dad was already working for Disney at the time. I helped him get that job too, because when he was like learning he was training for the job, I kind of like helped him along with like Disneyland history, and then like helping him memorize like all the things he needed to memorize. But yeah, when I told my dad that my first job's gonna be at Disney, he was just like, "You're crazy!" Like, that back then they were very selective of who they hired. They're not selective anymore. They're just like, "Oh, are you a peppy person? Do you have a bad, a good record or whatever? Then okay, you're in." But back then they were very selective, and he was just like, "You're not gonna be able to get in on your first try." He's like, you need to, like venture out and like apply for other places. And I thought, I'll apply for other places as soon as Disney tells me they don't want me.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I want to work at Disneyland. And for a long time they didn't respond. I think as soon as I turned 17, I immediately applied, and 6 months went by, they didn't respond. And so I thought, I guess I'm not going to have it. And I had already like accepted a job position at Hilton Hotels. And then the day I was like given my first schedule for Hilton, and I'm like, okay, I report a week from now. That day I got accepted at Disney, and they were like, okay, like come in for like a final interview, and then like, and I went into the final interview, and they hired me at the end of the interview. And I'm like, uh-oh. And so for a while I was working at Disney and Hilton at the exact same time. And I was attending my last, my final year of high school and I was taking college classes at the same time. I was doing like community college at the same time.
Wow.
So I look back on it, I'm like, how did I do
Yeah,
that?
right.
You know,
Busy
like
schedule.
I have no idea how I managed that.
That's crazy. I know, from watching your videos, we've heard the ghost stories and other cast member stories and all that. But what's like your one memory that like stands out the most from your days at Disneyland?
My one memory that stands out the
Eating
most.
Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about
Starstruck. Well, when I worked at Disneyland, there was just so many memories. I was just talking about it the other day. Was one of them was I was working at the park. It was 2009, so I had just started at the park. But Phantasmic was coming back from its refurbishment. It was getting rid of the old dragon and bringing in the mechanical one. And I had never seen Phantasmic before, and so my friend, who was also my shift lead, he was like, "Hey, they're gonna do dress rehearsals tonight, like after the park closes." He says, "You should stay and we'll watch it." And I thought, "We can watch it?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "If they say anything, I'll handle it." I'm like, "Okay." And so I stayed. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And at the time I worked at the Frontierland restaurant, so it was like Riverbell Terrace, Golden Horseshoe, Stage Door Cafe, and then Bengal Barbecue for some reason, because that's on the other side. But we're at Riverbell Terrace. We pulled up some chairs next to the railing, and there's a perfect view of the center line of Phantasmic. And the only people that were there were the few technicians at the edge of the river. There was like 5 technicians at the edge of the river at a table with all their like equipment and stuff like that. I'm sure they have like another technician booth at the top of the buildings at New Orleans Square. But anyway, only at the front of the river. That's it. That's the only people that were there. And then there was me and my friend, and the whole show from start to finish, every detail was dress rehearsed right there, and we saw the whole show. And it was almost like it was like just for me. It was so cool. And it's much louder than it sounds. Like when you go there and you watch the show with all the people there, it's loud, but when you watch it without people to absorb all that sound, it's loud. But yeah, that was a memory that really stood out. But I think I have several memories of working as in guest relations. I eventually moved up to guest relations and became a VIP tour guide and host and stuff. And I met some really cool people. I met Whoopi Goldberg. I met Jerry Bruckheimer. So like, yeah. And then I didn't officially meet Justin Bieber, but I was part of the group of tour guides who were like, getting his group around the park. Yeah. So I was like at the time one of the low level VIP hosts, but I saw him from like 5 feet away. But and then there was just making magic for people. That's something that we used to do, is like if someone really deserved to have something good done for them, then we had the ability to do pretty much anything. And there were just so many different memories of just doing things that helped people, and that made me feel really good. So
yeah, I bet.
Stuff they probably don't do anymore.
Yeah.
Probably not. No. Yeah.
Hey, Alex.
Hey,
Signs of
Alex.
Amusement. Great person to interview. Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Ken, how's it going?
So obviously you've been trying to get you on any kind of video here for a while, Alex, but I just, took us to interview you to get you on the channel.
As soon as I found out the camera's going to be on me, I was like, I'm in. No.
Right. Well, it's also because we're not going to be just talking about Disney, because you got other things that you went on. That was kind of a great segue there.
Yeah. Your favorite attraction at Disneyland?
My favorite attraction at Disneyland would have to be the Haunted Mansion. Yeah. There back when there was the original Star Tours, that was
Yeah.
my favorite. And I used to when I was a kid, my dad and I would go to Disneyland all the time. And the first ride we ever rode in the day was Star Tours, and the last ride we ever rode in the day was Star Tours. And we would ride Star Tours until the park closed.
Yeah.
And so those were good memories. But yeah, I would say now it's Haunted Mansion. And Haunted Mansion seems to have only gotten better over the years, which is kind of cool because sometimes they make changes to rides and it kind of like brings it down. But Haunted Mansion has actually gotten better over the years. So it's, yeah, pretty cool.
And then now with the new queue line that they're supposed to build and everything, so hopefully that'll be more interesting than just a line.
Yeah. And it'll take up some space over there by the train station. But
Well, like you were saying, the extended queue already went out there, so
yeah,
it's just going to be a wall around it now.
exactly.
I think the bigger change is going to be that shop on the other side. It'll kind of change the layout,
Yeah, and I have a theory that the interior of that shop may be decorated to the Museum of the Weird.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
And actually, they have a little melting candlestick guy on the attic scene now. There's like a little candle. Provost pointed that out.
Oh yes, I saw that. I think in one of Chris's videos. I think I was watching that scene. I'm like, hey, there's the candlestick man.
Yeah, that's like I always like in my mind I pictured that thing like as like a full like.
Yeah.
Figured,
it's like the submarine.
I'm like, oh,
yeah. It's like the submarine.
Yeah. Here, little
the
little toy I bought from Steve that I thought was like bigger.
You're like, oh boy, I'm gonna get this great toy, and it's like, oh boy. I'm taking pills bigger than this.
Yeah. Seriously.
Liners of our time. You guys have a really fun channel. Thank you.
Thanks. We try.
Yeah, we try.
So like I was saying, segue before, don't want to keep everything on Disney, but
yeah. So I was going to from the train because one of his favorite attractions.
That's what I was just about to do.
Locomotive, the steam train at Disneyland.
Yeah, because you just had the video out where you did the simulator as well. So
yeah, did that yesterday.
Yeah.
So you have a love for trains, just like Walt, and you have your own model scale train, and you do video games on the train. So what's I mean, I guess what's your favorite? Like, do you like playing the video games? Do you like building them? Do you like riding them all around? Or
I think my favorite is riding trains. And then second favorite would be probably like operating the model railroad.
Yeah, he doesn't like building the tracks.
I don't like building it. I build it, and I build it to the incredible detail that I do because it's like it would bother me if I did it any other way. But I don't actually enjoy the process of building a model railroad because I have an incredibly like short patience. Yeah, like I feel like when I want something, I'm like I have to just get it done. And sometimes I'll even hyper focus on stuff. Like if I work on that model railroad, I'll forget to like eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'll forget to even drink water. I'll just be working on that all day because I'm so hyper focused on it.
That happens to me sometimes too.
Yeah. We'll have to share the link for your train layout and everything too. So because that the way the detail on the mountain and your trestle bridge that you made and everything is just really cool to see. Yeah, and seeing it in real life, I saw it in real life. So.
Yeah,
I still like. I have no time, but I still want to make you a like laser cut building that you can put together.
The what?
Like a laser cut building that you can put into your train.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. It would save me some time. Man, I'm like literally taking these little stir sticks and I'm making like wood boards out of them and stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but
I'll do it eventually. As soon as I can design it and then get your opinion on it and then we can flesh that out and then actually cutting it out. That'd be kind of cool. And then watching it like make a video of me doing that, and then you having like the finishing side of it. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know
And
what got me into trains too was my dad, actually. So when I was a kid, my dad really liked trains and stuff, and then he would buy me like model railroad stuff, and it was all like modern stuff at the time for the 90s.
Yeah.
It was like diesel and all that kind of stuff. But as I got older, I was like, I really want to have like a model steam railroad and stuff like that. And um but I found out my grandfather, he was my great grandfather. He really enjoyed model railroads too, and he had like N scale, and so he would like operate N scale stuff, and so I inherited some of his things when he died. And but yeah, I eventually moved to the current scale that I operate, which is ON30, because I couldn't operate the kinds of things I wanted to operate in the other scales. It
N
just
scale,
didn't
yeah.
exist, or it didn't work very well. So
Maybe someday Alex can ride my train car. That's from Steve.
What kind
yeah.
of train car does he have? Do you know?
So he has the West Palm Beach car. It is a 1940s era
Is it in your
passenger
backyard, Steve?
car. It is. It's at a railroad museum in
Oh,
Arizona.
okay.
Arizona? Yeah,
Oh, really?
Arizona. Yeah, and
Is he out here?
he lives in Las Vegas or near Las Vegas, but he visits the train car to work on it.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like trying to remember details about
Steve.
Steve.
You'll have to send me info. Maybe I can go do a video on it.
Jason is in Arizona, like
yeah.
Phoenix area. So
yeah, I'm sure he'd be cool with that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like kind of like okay, good. I got all the information correct. I was like, oh man, I'm like, I'm being tested on the knowledge of my friend. I'm like, oh boy.
That was a surprise we just threw on you.
It's in Chandler, Arizona.
Okay, so that's out there by Gilbert. So
yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
No,
and the work he's been doing on it. It looks kind of like a Art Deco kind of streamlined modern kind of car. It looks really neat, and you know, the more he works on it, the more done it gets. But yeah,
cool. So being into Steam, that's when you started with like the ships and stuff, or
yes.
How did that start off with being in the steam engine? Because you got into steam engines from the trains, right?
Yeah. So in my lifelong love of steam trains, I kind of learned about other things that operate on steam, and not just ships, but like just like all kinds of steam engines, steam tractors, and stuff like that. I'm obsessed with stuff that runs on steam. But the thing that got me into ships, believe it or not, was not Titanic. A lot of people who are into ships, they say like, oh, the Titanic was my first interest. But for me, actually, it was the Queen Mary in Long Beach. Because even though I do like the Titanic movie, I never actually like researched the Titanic itself. I think my dad bought me a book one time, and I kind of like flipped through. It's like a picture book. I kind of flipped through it and stuff like that. But I didn't know anything really about Titanic that I learned for myself. It just never struck my interest in any kind of meaningful way. But I did visit the Queen Mary a few times in my life, and again, it was just like Titanic, where I was like, it's cool looking, but it's not really my interest. But it was in January 2020 when my friend Chris, or you know, well, you're a friend too,
yeah,
but you know, he's my friend, you guys. No,
yeah.
But when Chris was like, hey, you know, like we should like go and hang out at the Queen Mary, and he was like, let's, you know, we'll have Steve drive us and all.
Yeah. Yeah, I came down from Santa Maria, where I used to live, and then we just hung out the whole day over there. It was great.
Yeah, and
I just thought it was a ship, and I lived like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from there for 20 years, and I only went there a couple times, and that was it. But now it's like you learn the whole history of it.
Yes, that was rather interesting, was that the night before we went, uh, on that final trip to the Queen Mary, I was like, maybe I could film a vlog. Because at the time, my channel did vlogs at Disneyland. So I thought, I heard that Walt Disney rode on this ship. I heard that Disney once, leased the ship and was going to build a theme park next to it. So I'm like, maybe I can tie Disney into this Queen Mary thing. And so I did a little bit of research on the ship. And from what I read, it was just fascinating. I was just like, wait a minute, why does nobody else know this? I'm like, this is like some cool stuff. I mean, by nobody, I mean like regular non-fans of the Queen Mary. I'm like,
Yeah,
how
like
does
me.
this yeah, like how does this not, constantly make, headlines in newspapers and stuff like that? Just amazing stuff. Like you see all kinds of things all over the world, like, oh, here's a war veterans memorial and here's information about all this memorial, but you never see anything on the Queen Mary during like Veterans Day or whatever to like learn about any of that kind of stuff. And there's some really
Yeah.
cool information there. And so when we finally went to the Queen Mary that day, I was so excited to see everything and just walk around and like video everything. And yeah, but when I walked aboard the ship, it was like transformative because it went from something that I was like somewhat interested in to something I was obsessed with. And then I often tell people, I'm like, there was something almost supernatural about the ship in the way that it suddenly tugged at me. Like,
Well, we saw it.
yeah, well, we saw it, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was like
No, I
you
saw
walked around.
you. Your love for the ship just came out, and you just saw it in your eyes how much you just fell in love with the ship.
Yeah, it was so weird. It just changed me, and seeing the ship so tired and neglected at the time,
Yeah.
it just called out to me like it needed help. And of course, I can't really do anything. I'm just like at the end of the day, I'm just a regular person. I don't have any kind of power or influence over anything. But I thought, the one thing I can do is I can make videos, and maybe I can try to like get other people interested the same way I am. And the Queen Mary from then on became kind of my new obsession. But I never thought I would make all kinds of history videos about the ship until almost a year later. And that's a funny story in itself because Steve, I don't know if you remember Shiloh,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
him on the ship at
We
the
were eating
time.
lunch.
Yeah.
Who's this kid?
Yeah. At the time he was a 15-year-old kid, and he was like dressed in a kind of like a captain's Cunard uniform.
Yeah.
And I got him in my footage at one point even because he was walking around the
Yeah.
ship too. And so I got him in my footage. But later on in the day, Yumi and Chris, we were eating lunch at the Chelsea's Chowder House restaurant. And I was looking for like where to find this like big Lego model of the Queen Mary because I'm like,
Yeah.
where is this thing?
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and then next thing you know, Shiloh and his mom are sitting at the table next to us. And I remember thinking, if there's anyone on this ship that knows where things are, it's gonna be this kid, So
Yeah.
yeah, so then we asked him directions. But the odd thing was that like almost a year later, when I decided, you know what, I have enough knowledge of the Queen Mary now that I kind of want to make videos about it. I'm like, but I need someone to check my work. I need someone to like say, oh, you got this right or you got this wrong. And I thought the only person I know is that kid, but I don't know where he is. And next thing I know, I find out the person who's been commenting on my channel was Shiloh. And I'm like, there he is. And, and so yeah, that kind of got me into the whole, thing about ships. And through learning about the Queen Mary, I learned about all kinds of other ships. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess, is that about the time that you just decided that focus away from Disney and then just make videos about ships? I know you did a couple on San Francisco cable cars and stuff too. Like, what made you just decide, to make the shift?
So, believe it or not, I was still wanting to make stuff about Disneyland. But the problem was that in 2020 when the pandemic happened, everybody was stuck at home. And at first that was I mean, I hate to put it this way, but at first it was good for the channel because everybody wanted to watch content, especially Disney content, because it helped. They couldn't visit the parks; the parks were all closed. So the next best thing was seeing Disney content on YouTube. And so at first it was a blessing for the channel in that particular way because then people were watching more and more of my stuff. But then it turned into something else because then there was all these people who were starting up Disney YouTube channels. And some of these people were able to just skyrocket to fame very quickly. I don't know how they did. I mean, I could, I had my theories, but I mean, a lot of them just immediately just
Yeah.
boom, famous. And so I thought, like I've been doing this for like 4 years already at that time, and I'm like, and I'm barely scraping like 20K subscribers. And when you're trying to build your YouTube channel, when you're trying to get more people interested in the things that you're interested in, you hope for more subscribers. I know it sometimes
like
sounds
us.
kind of
Yeah, we're trying it right
yeah,
now.
exactly. I mean, I know some people who aren't YouTube creators, they might look at that and they go like, oh, that's attention seeking. But when you're creating stuff that you're passionate about, you hope that other people will like
Yeah.
it too. You hope that when you spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours making a video, that it was worth it, that a lot of people got to see it.
Yeah.
And that's what gaining subscribers is all about, at least for me. And so the thing was that I was actually starting to lose subscribers. People were becoming less interested in my channel. I was putting out these videos that were taking me sometimes months to make, and then I would only get a fraction of the views that it would normally get. And so I thought, you know what, like this channel, which is, if you guys know this, when you run a YouTube channel, it actually costs money in the end to do it. Either it costs money because of the things you have to pay for to run it, or it costs money in the sense
Just
that
equipment.
equipment
Yeah.
or even your time. Because when you
right.
put time towards making this stuff, that's time away from things that actually make you money elsewhere. So my channel was already pretty expensive at that point because like I had a life that I had to live, and this was not making money anymore. And so I thought, you know what? This channel is dying. I need to shift my focus to something else. And the Queen Mary was already something that I was already contemplating doing videos about. So I started making Queen Mary videos in late 2020, probably early 2021. And then throughout 2021, I slowly transitioned away from Disney and into other subjects. And I think a lot of people who are subscribed to my channel now think of me as like the ship guy, but I actually do a lot more than just ships. I mean, Jason even
Yeah.
mentioned it, like things like, the cable cars in San
Cable
Francisco and stuff. I've got a lot of videos of other things, but um and I tried to ease my subscribers who were already into the Disney stuff. I tried to tell them I'm moving away from Disney and into other subjects for this reason. But and then what really like just kind of was like salt in the wound actually was the one video there were two videos that I had been working on for a long time that I knew that I couldn't stop making Disney content without putting out these videos. And one of them was the history of the Disneyland Railroad. And yeah, that video, I was like, okay, I want this on my channel. So even though I'm not going to be making Disney content in the future, I want it on my channel. So I finished the video, and then that video blew up and got like a lot of subscribers and stuff, and and a lot of views. And then the other video I wanted to finish was the creation of Disneyland. And so I did that video, and then that video blew up, and it still is blowing up. That video is got
Wow.
like little over 500,000 views now and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so next thing you know, I got all these people telling me, well, you don't have to stop doing Disney content now. You can see that people want to watch it. And it's been difficult because I've had to try to tell people are watching it because these are the two main subjects that people love about Disney: the creation of Disneyland and the Disneyland Railroad. But as soon as I start talking about, the bathroom of tomorrow in Tomorrowland, people are like, I'm out of here. You know,
Yeah.
like
I know that bathroom. It's not good.
so it was, I would say that it was really difficult because people people will only watch videos that are like a big name subject, like Big Thunder Mountain. But as soon as you run out of those kinds of videos and you need to start doing stuff that is more specific, you know, like the petrified tree in Frontierland, it's you don't get those views.
Right.
People
Yeah.
don't show up for it. So I knew that Disneyland was a very limited subject. And it led to the downfall of the channel. So I had to revitalize the channel with other content, and it has worked.
Yeah.
Unless you do right through videos and you have someone who else films them for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just saying, we
true.
have an abundance of materials for those. But
Yeah. Thank
so
you,
we have
LMG Vids.
yeah, I was just saying we have a few people saying hello.
Yeah.
Hello,
So,
everyone.
hello
It's
all.
Disney Magic Zach. Mark.
it's Disney Magic.
Oh yeah,
Zach.
Disney.
He's
Disney
from the
Magic Zach.
UK. He's our good friend now.
And Mark and Steve says Shiloh and his mom say hello from the Queen Mary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex
That's
is a
cool.
cool person to talk about history with. So
Yeah.
Do you have another question for him, Steve?
for Alex,
Yeah.
Oh, I had a
I'm
whole
putting you on
bunch,
the
but
spot.
of course I can't think of them now. So.
Come on.
Oh, so Alex, I don't know if you probably knew, but so when I was a kid and I went on the Queen Mary, they used to have helicopter rides. It was the bubble dome. I forgot what they call those things, but they would kind of land on the water. So
It's like
they
the
used to
60s
have
something
what?
like that. Like in the 60s or something.
60s.
No, I mean like that era of helicopter is what I mean.
Oh
Not when
yeah,
you were a
yeah,
kid.
yeah. It was the bubble thing. Yeah,
Like the kind you saw on MASH, I think is like that's what I'm
yeah,
thinking of.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Those, yeah, yeah. So you used to ride around. You fly around the Queen Mary in one of those. It was really cool. I got to do that.
That's neat. Yeah, I heard that they had something like that. It was there was like a little helipad just outside the ship, and yeah, they would fly you around the ship for like a little tour and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it was really
Yeah.
cool.
It's neat.
And Mark
But-
says Alex is the awesome.
Is the awesome.
Yes.
Just one.
I
you.
is the awesome.
Yeah.
Steve,
gosh.
what I was getting at is the question that you're asking Alex off camera.
Oh,
the
about
ship.
the SS Constitution.
Yeah, I didn't know if that got answered, so I just throwing it out there.
Oh, okay. So on I Love Lucy, they were on a ocean liner that went from New York, where they were, to Europe, and they rode on the SS Constitution, and I always thought that was a fake ship, TV ship that they used, but I found out that it's actually a real ship, a
Mhm.
real steam ocean liner from the United States that went across the Atlantic to Europe.
It
Now
was, yeah. It was part of the United States line. So the same line that had the famous SS United States, which is now in Philadelphia. They operated the SS Constitution, and from what I remember being told, because I didn't research this myself, but somebody else told, I don't remember who, I think it might have been the other Steve, the Blue Ribbon
Yeah.
Steve, but that it was they were trying to like promote the ship, and so they got the team at I Love Lucy to actually like film on the ship, and I think for just a few
Yeah.
scenes, and then there was most of it was sets, like stage
Right,
sets
right.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it was based off of the real ship, which was brand new at the time, and
yeah. And now it's laying off the coast of Hawaii, like 700 miles off the coast of Hawaii, underwater.
Is it?
Yeah, it actually, from what I read, that they were going to scrap the ship in the 90s, and while they were towing it, it sunk, and it's now they don't even know where it is. It's somewhere off the 700 miles off the coast of Hawaii somewhere. They still haven't located it.
Jeez.
Just weird to think.
Yeah, it's crazy actually when you think about how many ships, like how many ocean liners there were, just like even
Yeah.
operated by Western countries like France, UK, United States, all that kind of stuff. And there were just tons of them, and most of them were just like scrapped and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
some of them were like some of the most beautiful ships you've ever seen. Like, I
Well, and
know I
then
often trash like the SS Normandy, but if you ever like saw the SS Normandy, it is a wonderfully designed ship. It is, I mean, people say it's the most beautiful ship ever created. I reserve that for Queen Mary, but
yeah.
if you're looking for a literal palace on the water, that would be the SS Normandy. And it's amazing that it never, it caught fire just at the start of the war, and they never got to use it for a troop ship or anything like that. But it's amazing that it didn't come back. Usually like they would like rebuild and reconstruct the
Right.
ship or something. But
Right.
yeah, that is a really crazy like, you know, design of a ship. But yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you were gonna do the other ship too, the one that my parents actually took from Indonesia to the Netherlands during after the war when they got kicked out of Indonesia. My whole family had to take that. I forgot the name of the ship, but it's the one.
TSMS Laconia.
Is that what it was? And then
Mhm.
it went to Greece or something and sunk or something like that. Later on, they sold the ship.
Yeah.
It was a Dutch ship, and that was, I believe, was also steam, wasn't it? Or it
When
may
it
have been.
when it first see, I'm trying to remember what because I almost did an entire video on it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember now, but I think it was originally steam, and then they
They
converted it
converted it.
to a diesel. But I don't remember anymore. But yeah, that was a video I was gonna work on. I remember working on it for like 6 months.
Yeah,
It was like,
because I remember you asking me about, some of my family members that were on that ship, if they had any stories. And I just
yeah,
remember my mom saying how rough the seas were, that a lot of people got sick, um, and it was just, and then going through the Suez Canal and in the Red Sea, how hot it was over there, and it was a terrible trip for them, for all of them.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, it had quite a history. And what was interesting about it was that it had these really beautiful interiors. Like it was a very, it was a small ship, but
Yeah,
what it had was just really beautiful on the inside. And I think that's what made it so appealing as a cruise ship for the Greek company. And then what happened was there was a fire that started on it somehow in like the middle of the night, and the fire just spread super quickly before most people even got to like escape. And
wow,
so I think something like 300 people died on the ship, and the even the captain was last seen at the stern of the ship with the fire surrounding him.
hmm,
So yeah, it was a really crazy story. And yeah, I was gonna work on that one, but
yeah,
that's an interesting subject in itself. Was that I originally was gonna be doing like all these like documentary, like full history of ships kind of thing on my channel. But I would like I would work for months on a video about the history of a ship, and then right as I'm about like to to like put it together and then finally post it, somebody else posts one and it gets a lot of views and everybody loves it, and I'm like, great, if I post this thing now, it'll make me look like a copycat,
right.
and then what's worse too is that sometimes the videos that people posted were much better than mine, and so I'm like, ugh. So
Now you don't want to put it out there.
yeah, so that one of that ship that your family was on, like there's a
Yeah.
much better video out there about it now, and it's like 30 minutes long. Mine
Well,
was like gonna be 15 minutes. His is like
I
30
would
minutes
still
long.
love to see your version of it though. But
Yeah.
since I'm a fan of you, so
Yeah. I know everybody says, "Oh, you should still do those kinds of videos, though." And
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. Inside of you and stuff, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You don't want to put something out that you don't like. So
That's the same thing with
Yeah.
my horrible Jack mask that
oh yeah.
Disney Dan did ahead of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you could wait a bit and then put them out like next year or whatever. That way there's enough time. I don't know. That's what I was thinking. So
yeah, I mean, I did think about that, but it's just I realized that there was an even larger issue, which is that everybody's putting out these kinds of videos, and so it's kind of like I've always wanted to do something that other people aren't doing.
yeah,
And
I mean that's exactly what this whole channel is about.
Yeah.
But everybody always says this. You put your own spin or take on certain things, and you don't have that content on your channel. So while you know that other videos out there, your subscriber base might not. That's what everybody is always like put it in
Yeah.
perspective for me. So
that's true.
But it's funny how I did those "Where Are We" videos. You know,
know,
the map, the overlay. We
Yeah.
Alex sent me a map of where the Haunted Mansion and stuff, and then all of a sudden I see some other YouTuber doing the same thing.
Yeah, like as far as I know, you were the first one to do that kind of thing, and then after that, there's
Yeah.
other channels started showing up with those kinds of things. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and him doing those and then us talking about it is led me to the idea of doing these commentary write-throughs and
Yeah.
actually I took his idea for the Matterhorn, and we had our own like 3D track layout that we did.
That was cool. Yeah. He put Bob Gurr in a
in the
bobsled.
bobsled. Yeah. So Alex, oh,
Look who's here.
I was gonna say, does your love for ships go with the new stuff too? Like, have you thought about taking a cruise and doing videos like that, or is it just more of the older class of ships?
it's more the older class of ships. I'm not really into cruise ships. I know that some people are, and I try not to say anything that might be insulting to them. but it's kind of like for when I look at like the Queen Mary versus, let's say, like a Royal Caribbean ship or something like that. It's kind of like looking at the difference between like a 1930s Rolls Royce and like a modern day city bus. It's kind of like it's not the same thing, and
Yeah.
and so when I see cruise ships, I'm kind of like, it's not my thing. But the other thing too is that as for whether I would take a cruise, that's interesting because perhaps someone would say, Alex's opinion would split hairs, because on one side, there's nothing that these other cruise companies that would offer that I want. I'm not going to go down any water slides. I'm not going to go on any, roller coasters at sea. I don't party. I don't do a lot of drinking. I don't watch stage shows, so everything that cruise ships offer does not appeal to me. But I do plan to sail on Cunard's Queen Mary 2, because I me and Chris were planning on doing this trip to the UK, and I want to film all these historic places and stuff like that in the UK and in France, and so I want to get there by sailing across the Atlantic on the Queen Mary 2, and the Queen Mary 2 is technically not a cruise ship; it's an actual ocean liner. And when I looked at what Cunard offers, I mean, it's exactly what I'm looking for. It's like in terms of like what a young person is looking for, it is the most boring thing ever, because it is like there's a library for you to read, and there's afternoon tea before dinner, and and young people will be like, oh my god, that's an old person's cruise. But I mean, that's who I am, like I'm besides the videos, I'm a kind of boring person.
I was gonna say though, when you get to the UK, we have the perfect tour guide for you.
Oh yeah.
Disney
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr. Toad.
Not Mr.
What?
Our friend Disney Magic Jack. He's in the UK.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Disney.
Oh,
Disney.
Disney,
Disney Magic Jack.
Disney Magic Zach.
Yeah,
Nice.
Zach's a good guy. So
Yeah. And this guy is too.
this is the goofy guy.
Yeah, Jeff.
He is our third host, I guess, and he's taking a little day break, I guess. So hopefully Jeff will be coming back soon. But yeah, we've had several videos with Zach. He's a hoot. He's a good guy. Just starting out his channel. So yeah.
Nice.
Anyway. I want to go to the UK and just hang out with him.
He does his podcast, you know how? On the couch.
On the couch. He's just like
He
laid
lays
back
on
and
the couch.
makes me want to change my whole setup to a couch.
You know what I want to do when I get to the UK is I want to go to a pub, like a true British pub.
Yeah, just don't wear the wrong colors.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
We're
we were
talking about
talking about that. With the
Football
soccer
color is
teams.
a joke.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Zach knows.
Sports just goes right over.
Well,
my
because
head.
we were talking about football because it's soccer, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I was at a baseball game once, and I was asking my friend if anybody scored a touchdown. Yeah, that's the reaction they had with me too. So
Yeah.
That's like Ferris Bueller. Like who's winning? It's tied. You know, I forgot how that joke goes. The Bears, whatever.
So,
Yeah.
what's next? Do you want to you want to try the games, Alex? Or
yeah,
is there anything else, Jason? That
I mean, I guess.
I was trying to think of something else, but
Well, what I was getting at was like, what do you see for the future of your channels? Like, what do you have
oh yeah,
coming up? What ideas do you have? I guess.
yeah.
so I want to produce more content on historic places and also more historic ships and things like that. I want to try to visit more physical locations that I can video and vlog and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to do that here in Portland, Oregon, because we're so far away from everything that is historic, you know. And so I don't know. I do have this plan in my head about maybe moving to the UK or something, maybe moving to Europe or something, because everything that is historic is easily accessible and there's unlimited amounts of it. And so yeah, I think that is the long-term plan. And then the idea is to literally like vlog, film, create documentaries and stuff like that about various historic places and ships and stuff like that. Everything that has to do with the steam age, or maybe even if it's just interesting, I'll do something on it. But I try to stick to stuff that is, you know, between the 1800s and the 1900s. That's generally like what I try to stick to because that's what I like the most. I'm not much of a fan of like world history. Like I'm like, oh, the French Revolution. Like it doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you know, if you say like, oh, this is the first like steam tractor ever built, I'm gonna be right there filming it, you know. So that's kind of what I want to do in the long run. But building up to that, I gotta build up to that because that's a lot of money. But
Yeah.
I want to visit more places in the US. I have plans like after, you know, Chris and I take our trip to the UK, I want to go to New Orleans and film a bunch of historic places in New Orleans. Ironically, everybody goes there to drink and party, but like we're gonna go there to like see all the museums. But
I go there
I
for
mean,
music.
that's yeah, music and pirates. Like, there's a big history there.
Mhm.
So,
yeah.
I'm just gonna throw this out to you as an idea. But when I started as a photographer, trying to be, this was before I started my YouTube channels. One of the things I wanted to do was to take a train ride across the U.S. and just wherever it stopped, get off or just take photos. You could kind of do the same. I mean, you don't really have time to get off the train as much, but if you were to get off at various points and then book a new ticket or whatever,
Yeah.
you could stop at different places and take an awesome train ride to film things.
They have that one over here that goes off. It follows the I-90 from Seattle to, I think it's Chicago. It follows like the Lincoln Highway and stuff. There's some, and then from there you can keep going to the East Coast.
Yeah.
It's a pretty neat train ride.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I would probably be happier selecting specific cities.
Well, I mean, you could select stuff off of the, ports or whatever. I mean, I'm sure the trains get to a city at some point. It might be a longer trip, but I don't know. I was just thinking you could tie in trains with different places.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was just throwing it out there as an idea.
That train museum we went to in Paris, not Paris, France, Paris, California.
the Orange Empire.
The Orange Empire. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really neat walking around that, and then we got the free tour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And seeing all the cars. I think one of like my favorite things was seeing like the old West stuff, like the old trains, and then we got to walk into that trolley that came from Dublin.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that? And then that was so Victorian looking. I was like, I think my face was literally like this the whole time. Because I was just like, this is so cool. Like I'm obsessed with that kind of stuff, and then of course seeing Ward Kimball's collection.
Yeah.
That barn.
The Chloe, yeah.
Yeah, the Chloe and the Emma Nevada, and then the various because all the cars in that barn was his. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. They were even fixing up that one at the end. I forgot the name of that train. The engine. They were actually fixing that one engine.
Yeah, that was the Emma Nevada.
Oh, is that the Nevada? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was so neat. It was the one where we can actually look into, right?
Yeah, and you had to it was kind of up on stilts, so because they were working on the underside, so you had to kind of stand up, but then there was that car that was on the other side of it. It was a big yellow car, and on the inside was all these.
It was all dirty, right? And we were trying to look through it.
Yeah, and inside that one is the it's a passenger coach, and it's got all these original, nothing in it was touched. He didn't alter anything. It's original red velvet cushioned seats, and the seats are stuffed with horsehair.
Huh.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah, I remember because you have the video on that for the museum, right?
I do. I think it's only available for my channel members, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was a time where I had to put all my vlogs and everything for channel members only, because I was getting death threats, people threatening me and my friend Mateo and my friend Eric. It was just really crazy just getting these threats. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take their faces off of the channel for their safety.
Yeah. Oh, and then also, if you see his name on TikTok, Alex the Historian, it is not Alex. It's somebody else impersonating you.
Yeah, I have a real TikTok just for trying to report the person. Mine is alex.the.historian.real. But anybody else who does not match that name is not me. And that person posts, they take my video content from YouTube, and every day they post another video. They cut it up into 4 or 5 parts, and then they post it on the thing. And yeah, what kind of sucks though is there was one person who was defending me in the chat of one of the videos. They were like, "This is not the real Alex the Historian." Another person was like, "I don't care," and it was just wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Mark said he reported all the fake TikTok accounts.
Yeah, I was about to say, all you guys watching, or in the future if you're watching, just go report this guy, because it's just not right.
No.
Yeah, and thank you so much, for everybody who's been so supportive, because I think one of the biggest blessings of my YouTube channel, I know a lot of my YouTube channel, I didn't want it to be like other YouTubers where they're all obsessed with, money and and popularity. They'll my channel, I don't even like do like promote products or anything like that. Like you never see like, the latest games or products being promoted on my channel because I don't do that. It's just like I try to like have like a higher integrity than other people do. I know like some of my friends won't agree with that because they're like, oh, you gotta like do the advertisements. Let's make a lot of money. But like I have found that my success comes from just people enjoying the content. And and so the kind of subscribership that is built up on my channel is made up of some really amazing people who I love talking to. I do these live streams
Yeah,
on my
tea
channel
time.
every week, the tea time streams, and
Yeah.
those are all about just chatting with my subscribers because
It's
they are
cool to
just
watch the chat keep going, and everybody's talking to each other and talking with you. It's so cool to watch.
Yeah, in a world that we live in where so many people are choosing to argue with each other instead of talking with each other,
Yeah.
it's kind of great to find this like little place where everybody knows your name. So there's a little reference for you guys.
Yeah, little Boston reference. And I was gonna say, I totally agree. I can't ever say I won't monetize this channel if it ever gets there, but you'll never see me promote an ad or something unless it's my own sign or something I'm trying to
like Suave beauty products.
Yeah, like that's not gonna happen. But yeah.
I see them promote some crazy stuff that I'm like, that person does not use that product.
No, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
There was one YouTuber who was like, "Oh, I don't use VPNs because they're not necessary," and blah blah. He was like, some kind of like computer whiz or whatever. But so he was like, "I don't use VPNs," and then like a year later, he's like, "VPN," and I'm like, "You don't use VPN."
I do want to promote something here. Is Alex's drawing. So Alex drew this for me, and it's the Disneyland Railroad. So you said this was like one of your first what do you call it?
Yeah, that is the first what do you call it, pencil drawing I've ever done. So I've never done another one.
And the first and only.
Yeah, because I was,
and it's autographed.
Oh, well, that's
so there it is. There's his autograph right there.
Yeah, so that one was kind of funny because because Steve and Jason, you guys always do stuff for me. You always make me things. You never ask for anything back, but I was just like, oh my gosh, Steve is going to be delivering like a huge box full of things just because he's like, oh, I think Alex will like this. I thought, I got to do something. And so I was like looking through this thing and I had started a drawing of the Disneyland Railroad, but I never got very far on it because I was just like,
because didn't you do a live stream on that a long time ago?
Yes. Yeah. So I had started it on the live stream and then I got like only like a third of the way through and then I never worked on it again. And it's just sat in my book. And so, when Steve was like on his way to come deliver a bunch of stuff for me, I was like, okay, I need to give him something. I just feel so bad. Like I want him to have something that he'll like. And so I just pulled out
put it in the frame.
Yeah. I pulled out all the art supplies and like I think I finished that the night before you arrived. So yeah, I still had all the art supplies out one.
I made you some coasters or something, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say I still really love that Raven you painted.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
See, now I got.
I remember that.
That was on his other channel.
I think so. Yeah.
Riveting content here.
Oh, here it is.
There it is.
I remember that. Wow, what year was this, Alex? That you drew this? Oh, you can't hear me.
He can't hear you.
What year did you draw that? Because I remember when you were drawing that.
This had to have been either 2020 or 2021 because I was painting it. And this is for Jason. I just have never like I'm the worst. Like someone's like, Alex, can you mail me this or something? I'm like, I'm the worst because I never get around to it.
Yeah.
But yes, this is Jason's. So and I've kept it safe in the closet. It's like it was up on a shelf, just standing up straight, so nothing was, against it. But yeah, I gotta send it to you, Jason, because it's been like forever.
Jason needs to come up there.
Yeah, I do. I need to like go up and visit Steve and then hit you on the way and then like go to Canada or some stuff. Like there's a lot of things I want to do.
The funny thing was, like, I was going when Steve was going to drop off the stuff and I was going to give him the drawing. I was going to like have him mail this thing to you, Jason. But I was like, I can't do that to Steve. That's so mean. I'm like, here, take this. This is just some mail for you to ship.
That's all right. I mean, at some point, like it's like I said, if I do that train building, do some exchanges and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move into the games. The first thing, though, before we get to the spinning of the wheels, we like to do a thing we call a magic hearing, which is like a little rip on a magic hearing.
Is that like a seance or something?
No.
Oh.
No, it's like, and I mean, this is usually Disney related, but I'll open it up to you, whatever you want. But like your favorite sound or music or anything that you think like hearing wise that's brings up a memory or anything like that.
Anything. Gosh, there's so much. Let's see. Well, you said it could be a sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my favorite sound is the sound of the horse-drawn streetcar on Main Street.
Oh, okay.
The sound of the clip-clopping of the hooves and then the rolling of the wheels and the, and then it bumping along the rails and stuff. Like that is just such a nice sound. Sometimes I would just stand on Main Street while the horse went by just to see it and hear it. Yeah. I would stop in my tracks to do that.
I was telling Jason about how when you did the walkthroughs and I would wear my headphones and you can hear all sorts of different noises and things that you normally wouldn't hear if you were just to walk through the park and everything. So hearing the horses, that I never even would have thought of that. But now that you mention it, it's like it is a Disney thing. So
that's an excellent answer.
I
don't remember where I saw this, but it was something I found recently. But it was like filmed, I think, like right around when Disneyland opened. But it was an older video, and it was filmed from like the bottom of one of those cars, and you can see the horse feet moving. I'm like, how do they fit a camera under there? Those cameras were.
They had GoPros back then.
Yeah,
the action cam.
Kept thinking, like that's like you couldn't even do that in these days. Like try to get something down there at that point, but somehow they managed.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, but though in recent years, this is the sad part about that sound. In recent years, they have been giving the horses a different kind of horseshoe. It's like made of like some kind of they told it to me once. It's like a synthetic resin, but it's very grippy and rubbery kind of. You can still snap it with a lot of strength, but it's very bendy. And they use that as the hooves. And when the horses walk down now, it doesn't sound like the original clip clop. Now it sounds like, and it's very quiet.
Yeah,
it's very muffled. And so that's just the one thing I'm like, oh, I miss that, because they don't. It doesn't sound the same anymore. So, but when I was a kid, and or not just when I was a kid, but just years ago, just a few years ago,
Yeah.
they still use the original horseshoes, so it still sounded nice.
Steve is
He's not
saying
gonna do-
it's like Teflon, maybe, but I don't know.
It's like a clear material. It looks
Like a
like if you were to like take hot glue, and melt it into the shape of a horseshoe, and then it dried, and it looks just like that. It's kind of cloudy
Yeah.
white, and it's
Like you said, it's a type of resin, probably
Yeah.
something made
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
they said
It's not the same resin I put on your tables. That-
Well, no, but I mean, you can
the
put
horse
in
would never
different-
move.
You can put in different textures or whatever to make them softer. You can have flexible resin. Like there's different properties. So
Yeah.
or you can mix silicone even. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So that was cool. I wasn't expecting a Disney answer on that one. So
Yeah.
Well,
that's
I do.
cool.
I know
I
there's
thought you were going to do the
like,
whistle from the Queen Mary.
that's what I was thinking too.
as much as I love the Queen Mary whistle, there's just there are sounds where I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I love listening to that because it's awesome. But then there's sounds like that just are in my heart. It makes me happy when I hear it. And so that was the one that came to mind. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Alex doesn't like Disneyland anymore. And it's not necessarily that. It's just,
right.
I just feel like that was a life I once lived, but no longer live it anymore, So, but there are still things from Disneyland that I miss. It's just that the Disneyland of today, I'm not as interested in it as I was. Like when I
can't even go in it. It's just like
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I honestly thought about it. I'm like, if I ever come back to Southern California to visit friends and family, and and see the Queen Mary again and stuff like that, like I thought, it would be kind of nice to see Disneyland again, but at the same time, it's so stressing to try to get in there that I'm like, is it even worth it for me? Because I don't like the stress,
Yeah.
So
that's my thoughts exactly.
Sound of the
Pistons and
piston
gears.
Shea steam locomotive.
What's a Shea steam?
it's a locomotive that has 3 cylinders on one side of it, and the cylinders, they go like that, and then it turns a gear shaft that turns the wheels. Yeah,
Nice.
They have it on Railroads Online.
they do. Yeah.
All right, let's
Speaking of games,
yeah, okay, you guys have your nightly whatever. I'm not invited. Just kidding. Just no plug.
yeah, we play Railroads Online or Enlisted, or
Yeah.
Chris and I play Call of Duty.
I mean, I try to play Call of Duty with you, but you cheat. So
Yeah. Somebody sucks.
yeah, I am more of a puzzle kind of person, I guess. Anyway, we're gonna get to the wheel now. And,
So what is this game? How do we play it?
Well, you're going to go first. And so basically, we spin this wheel to pick a park, and then you'll spin another wheel for that park, which has rides and restaurants. And then you get to open up your little blue sky imagination and kind of make it better, either food wise or, whatever you want to do. We call it Brew Sky. Rectify. Instead of blue sky, it's brew. That's where the whole drinking comes in. So if you guys are watching this, drink with us. Doesn't have to be alcoholic, but whenever we
I
take
got
a
my
drink,
tea.
you guys can take a drink, make a game out of it. Yeah. So again, whatever you feel like is making it better, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay.
And then Steve's always going to get California Adventure.
I hate it.
He's got Disneyland.
And you get Disneyland.
Good.
All right. What do you got?
Oh, speak of the devil.
No way.
Peter Pan.
We just did this right
We
through
just
last
did
night. So, what makes it better in your mind?
So I think what that ride really needs is somehow, first of all, to be expanded to be longer, because the ride is very short. You end up waiting like 45 minutes, and then it's like a 1.5 minute long ride at best. And so it needs to be longer. And then I would like to see it receive some of the special effects that the one in Shanghai got. The one in Shanghai visually looks fantastic. I just don't like the ride system because it's like huge and clunky. But yeah, so yeah, I would expand it, give it more modern special effects, make it look kind of cooler. And then let's see. Yeah, just I don't know, figure something out about the loading because it needs a higher capacity. So I
Yeah,
guess that
that's
would
true.
require bigger boats too. I don't know. Just bring the Shanghai one over. There we go.
And
So-
no, Zach, I didn't rig the game.
Yeah, because we did this video last night, and Steve, what was the point that you were bringing up
About
the ride
Peter
system?
Pan?
The ride system.
But because it hangs from the ceiling.
Yeah, well, there was no other attractions like built in that similar fashion. They hang
Yeah.
from the ceiling.
Not that I know of. No. Other than maybe like, well, that's not really hanging from the ceiling. Is soaring over California, but yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, I don't think there's any other rides that you fly through the attraction.
That's true.
all right, Steve.
All right. What do I get? California Adventure, change the whole thing. See,
You would think I
I
rigged.
think I
this
had
how many times
Disneyland
it
like
happened.
maybe once or twice.
That's so funny. Steve hates California Adventure.
Yeah. What is that?
Silly
Silly
Symphony.
Symphony Swings.
Yeah, get rid of it.
That's what
Put something
that's-
else there.
Actually, it's kind of useless.
No,
It just swings.
Okay, so that I remember back in the day that was a giant orange.
Yeah.
And
The
that was
orange
actually pretty
stinger.
cool. That was actually kind of cool to see. And
Yeah, and that was based off of James and the Giant. No, wasn't that the peach? No, it wasn't orange, huh?
It was an orange.
Okay.
it was a big
It was-
orange.
the ride was called the Orange Stinger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that was back in the day when they had all the cool what do you call it? Games and stuff on the pier and everything. And but yeah, now I don't know. The lines aren't very long for that from what I remember. And I sat at that pizza place right across from it, and you eat outside and all you hear is that stupid music going on and on and on and on. And so I would actually maybe put something else there, something I don't know. What were we talking about before when we needed another dark ride over there instead?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a small footprint, but I
Yeah.
think we were actually talking like a Baymax ride or something.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's on the other side. But
Yeah.
anyway, they should think of something else to put there because swinging on those swings and
It's like the cheesiest carnival ride.
it's a carnival ride, yeah. So, or if you want to, you have little kids stuff there, that jumping jellyfish thing. Put another kids ride there then instead of that giant merry-go-round swing. So,
All right.
anyway, that's my 2 cents.
They should just take the word California out of California Adventure because it's not really
Yeah.
California anymore.
Yeah.
No, it should be IP Adventure. So,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to tie it in back to the hotel, it should just be like something Pixar place or something.
yeah.
Pixar and
Yeah.
Marvel. It's like California Adventures, Pixar and Marvel, and Disney's more Star Wars and Disney,
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, my turn.
Your turn. But Jason is going to get Disneyland again. So, yeah. See? See?
It's not my fault. I didn't make these things.
It's not my fault.
It's a small world. I think I got this before.
I don't remember.
Um,
Maybe.
What would I do for Small World? What did I know I gotten this before, and it was like make it um more like Pirates, where it has like little like falls, like where you go down, splash, and all that. Like make it
Oh
make it a
yeah.
little more adventurous, not so slow and all that. I can say the obvious and like change the music and all that, but like half of people are gonna hate me for it, so I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, no, I would just make it go faster and add more rapids and like splash downs and
Rapids.
stuff. Yeah, like actual jets that push it along and not just this slow ride. Make it more fun.
And why stop there? Why not have like armed
A drop.
machinists, machine gun people, and just shoot you up?
Make it a shooting gallery so you can shoot.
Yeah. It's a mix of a Small World and Buzz Lightyear, so that you shoot the dolls. And they go,
That would be awesome. All right. Speaking of getting a hate mail now.
yeah.
All right, we usually do this twice, so Alex, you get to go again,
Okay.
and then
gonna be
Steve will do
Disneyland
another
again.
California Adventure.
Wait, I can't see it. What is it?
Oh, sorry. Disneyland
Oh,
again.
Disneyland. All right, Alex, what are you gonna get?
It's gonna
And
be
it
Pirates.
is-
No.
It
Rancho de
is,
Zocalo.
yeah.
No
No more
cabbage.
cabbage. I think that would legitimately be my answer: is stop with the freaking cabbage. Let me tell you guys a story.
yeah. Here it is. Here it is.
So
listen.
I used to eat at Rancho del Zocalo all the time when I would go to Disneyland. It's in Frontierland. For those that don't know, it's right next to the Big Thunder
Thunder.
Mountain. And one of my favorite things I used to get there was a carnitas burrito, and it was so good, And the thing was that Disney over the years has been replacing more and more ingredients in their food with cabbage. They just will omit an ingredient and replace it with cabbage. And it finally got to me one day when I ordered my carnitas burrito, and I was like, wait, this doesn't the ingredients list says it's different. And the lady was like, oh yeah, well now it has I kid you not, this is what she said. She said, well, now it contains a Hawaiian cabbage slaw. I'm like, in the burrito? She's like, yeah, in the burrito. I'm like, it's a Mexican dish. It's carnitas, And so like I got the burrito. I'm like, what is this? I cut it open. It has literally half the amount of carnitas in it. It used to be like stuffed with carnitas. They took out half of it and replaced the other half with the Hawaiian cabbage slaw. And it was just, I was like, this is not just like a travesty of, of food ingredients being mixed together, but it tasted terrible, and it tasted like a mouthful of cabbage. And I was so mad. And I actually went and I looked at all the menus around the park. Almost every restaurant, besides like one that just deep fries corn dogs and fries, besides that, almost every restaurant had some kind of dish that was either entirely cabbage or ingredients had been replaced with cabbage. I mean, it even got to the point where like I went to like Hungry Bear restaurant. They're like, oh, we have this new fish sandwich. I'm like, awesome. And I'm like, what does it have on it? Cabbage slaw. And I buy it, and it's like a little piece of fish and a pile of cabbage slaw on top of it. I got so mad. Being a former guest relations person, I knew that I could go to City Hall to report this and be like, hey, here's a suggestion. Don't put so much cabbage. So I go to City Hall. I'm like, hey, I'd like to like fill out like a comment form. And they're like, really? Well, what for? And I was like, there's too much cabbage in the food. And the person looked at me like, what? I was like, yes. And I tried to explain everything I just explained to you guys. And the person looked at me like I was insane. And when they gave me that look, I kind of realized, I'm like, this does sound insane, but it's totally legitimate because like, come on, like a carnitas burrito with Hawaiian cabbage slaw. Like that that was the end for me. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, and it was a big straw.
I remember when we went there and you were like, what is this?
I was upset. Yeah, I was.
And then
And
I
then
made that picture for you.
Yeah, the picture of me, because I was so mad. I told Steve, like, I'm gonna pose and you just put whatever you want in the picture. He's like, okay. So I posed. I was like this, like in the picture with my ugly food in front of me, and he photoshopped images of like cabbages in my dish. My drink was a cabbage soda, and then like I had a little like hammer in my hand, and because on the dish was a cabbage that was cracked open and inside was a cabbage salad. Oh my god.
I remember the text stream of different cabbage dishes that we made after that.
Yeah.
And I think one of them even was like deep fried cabbage, and like yeah. The worst thing you can put on burritos, any kind of lettuce. Like that's just.
I have that cabbage photo, by the way, if you want to show it.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if you have ability to do that, but
if you can share your screen, if you have it on there.
Let me see. Go to my photo album. Oh gosh, I have so many photos. Oh gosh, there it is. Okay.
It was fun to make though.
Okay. How do I share my
At the bottom little
it's
up
like
arrow.
a little up arrow thing.
Sorry, my camera's in the way, so I can't. Oh, here we go. No, that's private chat.
It's the one next to it.
Is it the plus sign? Oh wait, what is
It's
that?
the up arrow monitor.
The camera is like literally in the way. Jeez, I can't. How do I? Okay, I'm clicking it, but nothing's happening.
You don't see a menu?
Oh wait, select window or screen.
There you go.
Okay. Photo. Ah, okay. Allow. Do you see the picture?
There
It
it is.
is.
You should zoom
Do I need to
on it.
zoom in?
There you go.
So there's me posing, and Steve. So there's the cabbage with the cabbage salad inside. There's my cabbage soda, and then my cabbage dessert.
That was funny.
Oh my god!
Is it cabbage soda too? Is it green?
It's cabbage
Yeah,
soda.
I made it green.
He made it green.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I forget, but this dessert was disgusting. I didn't even eat all of it. I forget what it was. It was like some kind of.
I don't remember what that was. Yeah.
It was like some kind of weird tasting mousse that was sliced like it was meat, and then they covered it in this red raspberry sauce. It was like a cranberry raspberry sauce. I'm like, this is the worst meal I've ever had in my life.
It's like the cranberry that comes in a can, and they like slice it because like pure jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, it was awful.
Yeah, but the best one was still with the dessert that you had and your face when remember that one where we had the ice cream. Do you have that one? That one, I didn't. Now it's not doctored. That's actually Alex's with his ice cream.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Oh gosh, I don't have that one.
That one was funny.
That one was pretty funny because I wanted to take this like silly photo of me eating ice cream.
Yeah.
And I can probably still do the face if I had a spoon. Let's see.
Yeah. 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 That was funny.
All right. Let's get back.
Next. Oh, it's me again.
It's you again.
Come on, Disneyland.
Oh! Do you want to see what you get?
Yeah, let's see what I get. What is it? I can't see.
It is the Cozy Cone Motel.
Oh,
the little.
Actually, I like that place.
Yeah,
because Carsine is actually my favorite place in California.
Mine too.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a couple different little food places. I think there's
Yeah,
4 different
they
ones
have
there.
ice cream. They got churros.
The chili cone,
Yeah. Yep.
and I think popcorn or something.
The only thing I would do maybe in there is let us walk through that the actual like gas station.
Oh,
Or
the little
not
building
gas
front?
station, the
Yeah.
little building in front. Yeah. I would love to have that.
So you can
Yeah.
see the little model of
Uh,
itself in there.
Or I'll do like Mark says, I'm gonna make a
Cabbage
cabbage
pudding.
pudding. Out of the cozy cone.
Yeah. This is turning into that chat again. Like it's just random cabbage.
Every time I
ideas.
talk about Disneyland, it always circles back around to cabbage. So
Yep. I'm waiting for cabbage to appear over here.
All right. So
Yeah,
your
so
answer is
that's what I would do. Because the food there is good. I mean, it's all the little desserts and stuff, but it'd be kind of cool to walk into that building and just look around inside of there. Because there is that one little secret thing, a Buzz Lightyear that's in there. So I don't know if you saw that. There's like a Toy Story
yeah.
nod with Buzz Lightyear, and I think he's trying to get out or something. I can't remember exactly what it was.
where is it at?
So you know that little building that's in front where they have Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
So that building, inside of that building, if you look inside, they have I can't remember exactly what it was, but you see like a Buzz Lightyear and he's with a rope or something climbing out of something or going inside. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. Are you looking it up?
Trying.
You know, I've been to that land so many times, but I've never looked into that little building.
Oh, really?
Usually
Yeah.
when because
It's
usually
really
when I'm
neat in
there, when I'm there, Lightning McQueen is right in front of the building, and I can't get
Oh.
up to it.
No, it's on the other side.
On the other side? Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's on the side where you order all the food. They have these big windows there where you can actually walk up to the building and look inside.
Wow.
So Jason's trying to find it.
You know, I remember when they were building the Cozy Cone Motel. I was still a cast member back then, and
Uh-huh.
right behind the Cozy Cone was a cast member restaurant. And I was like sitting there every day, and I'd watch them like construct the Cozy Cone Motel. It was so cool.
Oh, neat.
There it
Yeah,
is.
there it is. Oh, yeah, they're under the cone. That's
oh
what it was.
yeah!
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that was so neat.
I had no idea you could look in from that side.
Yeah, yep. See, there's Lightning McQueen. He's on the other side.
Yeah.
They have so
Jeez,
many
that's
neat
so
things
cool.
in there. Yeah.
Look how clean that floor is. Like nobody's ever walked on that
Yeah.
floor.
It reminds me of remember the window by the Emporium. You know how they have those windows there?
Yeah,
where you
when
can
he
actually
comes
look-
and grabs I think it's Buzz too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that last window near the entrance where they have the what do you call it? The horses come in and out. That last window there, it has
Yeah.
all those old trains. The model trains and stuff, like made out of wood and
Oh yeah,
metal and
it's,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
It reminds that,
Around
you
the
know,
corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like this, it has all these little things and little details in there that
Wow.
you don't expect to see.
Yeah, and look, there's even like a stand with postcards on it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's pretty neat the detail that they do. You know, and then you can actually see that's a garage door
Yeah.
that
Right.
that slides up. So like a
In this
rolling
area.
door. Yeah, that's a
Are
rolling.
you guys excited to see the treehouse when it opens?
Actually, kind of, yeah.
I am, just because, even though it's not exact, it's still a throwback to what it used to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was always my favorite thing back in the day. So I'm
I saw
excited.
their walkthrough video of it, and it looked really cool. I was like, this actually looks really
Yeah.
neat.
Being at night. It was at the night video, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I wanted to do a video on it, and then as Steve pointed out, there's a lot of things they're not showing in there, so we'll wait for the actual.
But it's funny
Very
that what I find so ironic about it. So they don't want to do like the Swiss Family Robinson thing because I don't know, they got some kind of thing against it. They're like, oh,
But they're making
know
a
how-
show about it, so
yeah, I don't yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like I don't get, but the weird thing about it is like they're like, oh, well, we can't do Swiss Family Robinson because it would just upset some kind of group of people. But then they're like, but it's perfectly okay. Because if you read the sign of they showed the sign in the video. The sign says we're like a family of 4 or 5 or something like that.
5.
And and they're like, and we've settled here to
Right.
live out our hopes and dreams. It's like, wait, so you're not okay with a family being stranded in a jungle, but you're okay with a family like setting up shop in a jungle and settling on people's land. Like,
living.
how is that okay?
Right.
So-
And that's the thing is, if you watch the walkthrough, there's actually a book for Tarzan and Swiss Family in the attraction.
I saw that. Yeah.
So that means this is taking place in regular today's time, I guess.
Yeah, today's world. Yeah.
So they just crashed on an island, and it's, oh, we'll just stay here. This is home now, right?
Exactly.
You're not lost if you're home, right?
They're like, well, we'll keep the natives at bay.
Yeah. This is America.
I still wish they would go into, branch out where they would go above like Indy or the end of Jungle Cruise and stuff, making it kind of a longer walk or not deeper, not just the tree but kind of go deeper in and take a look.
Well, when Walt Disney first opened the treehouse, there was so the Jungle Cruise actually passed a lot closer to the tree because there was no Indiana Jones Adventure.
Yeah, no Indy, yeah.
And so you used to be able to stand up there, and there was like a lookout spot with like a telescope, and you could look right down and see a Jungle Cruise boat passing right beneath you and kind of making a left-hand turn into the jungle.
That would be really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. You used to be able to see a lot of the park on that tree because it was like the tallest thing.
Yeah. Remember we used to go up there just to see Galaxy's Edge being built. Remember we were taking pictures and stuff up there.
Oh my gosh. And then there's that picture of me looking at myself.
Yeah. That's the 360 one.
Yeah. So if you guys go to on Google Maps, if you go to Disneyland and on your computer, I don't think you can do it on the phone, but on your computer, if you go to Disneyland and grab that little man and go hover over the
Street View.
Yeah, Street View. If you hover over the treehouse, there's some of my pictures that are in there, and if you drop it, you'll see Alex is doing like this, and on one picture, and then you scroll through, the 360, and all of a sudden you'll see him on the bridge. So it's pretty funny. He's like looking at himself.
I'm looking it up now because I kind of want to see. I've never actually seen it on my own computer.
Oh,
let's see.
Oh, Mark, yep. Don't forget to turn your clocks back tonight.
Oh, somebody doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, you lucky.
Yeah, but it's still confusing because everybody else changes times, and I'm like, nah, where am I at compared to everybody else? Yeah, Jack's a little ahead of us, though.
Yeah,
found it.
Oh, you found it?
I did. Oh, it looks so cool.
Go ahead and share.
Let's see. Where's this thing here? Share. Yeah, entire screen. Allow. And then where is it? This one. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
So there's me, and then like if I move to the right, you can see me over there in the distance.
Yeah.
Looking down, and I'm looking at myself.
How do you do that?
Yeah,
that was.
We took the picture of you looking out, right? And then I stopped, and then you went over to the bridge, and then I went and took more pictures. It's pretty funny.
That was so
the one from your cafe. That was really funny.
That one was hilarious. I wish that one was still there, but that because the one that was done at my cafe, that one was just the same 3 people. It was me, my business partner, and then another customer. And we just like literally we we had it was nobody there that day. It was empty. So
Yeah.
we went into the seating area, and like the three of us sat down on one table, and then like Steve would like take the picture, and he's like taking the picture of the whole restaurant. Then we'd move to the next table, and then the next table, and the next table, as he kept going on until finally like the finished picture was us sitting at every single table
Yeah.
in the whole 360. And each time we're doing something completely different. I think even
Completely
at one point,
different.
even at
Yeah.
one point, my business partner Brian, he had this massive mug, this massive coffee mug that is like this big, and he's sitting there just like drinking it, talking to me in the picture, and I'm just like, oh yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
he's like got the coffee mug. Oh my god, we
I-
always have the funnest time when we're
Oh, I
around.
know.
It's, oh my
Yeah.
god.
When you, me, and Chris, when we go to the parks, oh my gosh, our jaws are hurting from laughing so much because we always.
Yeah,
You know.
I remember at the end of the day, like my cheeks would hurt so much because I'm like laughing so hard. We always have the best time.
Yeah, it was always so fun. Yeah, and of course, Chris doing all the Chris things that he does.
Chris
so.
things.
The Chris
Breaking his
things.
shoe and stuff like that. Yeah.
Didn't you take a 360 picture of him in front of the train station and like wasn't he doing something weird? Or was it just like
Yeah,
it was like
yeah. That over in that was in Frontierland. That was during one of the meetups, and he was all like doing this or something like that.
I'm gonna see if I can like hover over that.
See,
I don't know
like,
if it's there.
I've got a
Yeah, yeah,
Let's see.
yeah. That was another thing from Chris. That was really funny. At Knott's Berry Farm, we went to the carving guy, and he was showing us all the carving things on there, and you know they're like hundreds of dollars or whatever. And Chris was like, "Wow, $100! Do you have anything for $5?" It's like $5. The guy was like, "What? You don't have anything for $5?"
guy's like, I can route you a period.
Yeah.
You don't even get a letter for that.
So we were walking through the park recording, and the guy sees Chris. He goes, "Hey, $5! $5!" That was funny.
So there's the picture.
There he is. He's
Yeah,
like,
let's see. Look.
But he's missing a leg.
oh, was that,
His
Yeah,
leg is
yeah.
like
is that
He's just, like, leaning
Mateo
over.
next to him? Who's that?
So
That's Mark.
this is his
Oh,
friend
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, yeah. Tags,
That's
right?
me
Yeah.
there.
I'm taking the picture.
Yeah.
I'm not in it. I'm not in any of these 360 things.
I'm definitely not.
Yeah.
No.
I wasn't there.
But this
Hey, I
was
got
like
it. Heyman's in one of them in front of the submarine at night.
yeah. And this was the last meetup we did. So everybody else was all people who were like fans of our channels, and they just like came to meet up with us. We originally started off at the Grand Californian hotel, but then you know, we eventually moved into the park with everybody. So we had like a huge group, and throughout the day they kind of just dwindled, you know, they kind of went their own way. But that was so cool. That was the last meetup we ever did. And
Yeah.
I used to love doing those things, but I can't do them now because of all the death threats.
It's crazy.
Like crazy.
Yeah, Zach, you know, we would love to come out there at the same time. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
We got to do, you know, we actually got to do that sometime. We got to like all like meet up and like go to like Walt
Yeah.
Disney World or something.
Yeah. Well,
It'd
I'm
be
also
fun.
trying to do a property over there, so I can do it like an Airbnb and just have it for all of us to use. You know, it's in the works. It's just not going to happen just yet. But. All right.
All right, back to the game. It's you, Jace.
Yeah.
Or is it
My-
me? I don't remember.
No, you had the Cozy Con, so
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Good.
this
I
is
don't-
the final.
No more
final here.
California Adventure.
And I get California. I don't mind it though, as
Yeah.
long as I don't get Corn Dog Castle again.
Like that's your favorite.
Flows.
What is that?
Flows V8 Cafe.
Oh yeah.
That's the other one. Looks like a gas station.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Flows. As Route 9, Chris from Route 9 Signs was saying, they have that seating on the other side. That's
Yeah.
where I usually sit to.
Yeah. And
But-
looking at the ride.
Yeah, I think that's what they need is more of the outside seating there. They have that, but in the front, they have like the fake gas station pistons and stuff, but there's more seating inside than outside, and I like eating outside, so that's
Yeah, me too.
the one thing I would do there is just make that a little bigger area
Yeah.
because
That's a good
everybody
one.
likes to go sit out there, and it's always taken up. So
Yeah, because you watch all the cars at the turn. They make the
exactly.
hill and come down and make that turn.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
you
a
hear
cool
everybody
spot.
screaming.
Alrighty. Any final questions, Steve?
Me, no questions. Just happy to have Alex on. So having him here and talking about Disney and the Queen Mary and his love for trains and
Does anybody in the
Yeah.
chat have a question for me? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask that. Yeah.
most of this has just been these two guys, but I
yeah,
wonder if anybody
yeah.
probably
Anybody?
like a 12-second delay before they hear that. But yeah, you guys have really cool, awesome setups like behind you guys.
Yeah, Steve. He kind of copied me.
Oh,
No, I used to have the other wall with the wood planks, and I had some stuff on there, and then I had to up my game when I came over here because the wall was pretty plain. I had this whole bookshelf I bought, and just started throwing things up there, and then Steve's like, "I got to do that," and then
yeah.
what I wanted to do was like to, kind of put my signs back there. But what's your favorite Disney movie? What's your scary movie?
so it depends on what day of the week you ask me because it changes. But generally, I've said that my favorite Disney movie is either Pinocchio or Snow White. Now, the Pinocchio movie,
Classics.
yeah, that will bring me to tears at times. So will Snow White too. I don't know what it is when I see those 7 dwarfs just crying their eyes out because they think she's dead. Gets me.
Guarantee the new one won't have that.
Yeah.
If you could pick one movie to make live action, what would it be?
Man.
Or what would it not be?
What would it not be? Exactly. Well, let's think. Is there a movie I think that could be made live action? No. But one that I would say should not be made live action. No, they already did that one. I'm like, gosh, you know what I would say? One movie that they already did make live action, but they never should have. The Lion King. Because that movie, the whole magic of it was that it was animated. It's like Snow White. Okay, people have made Snow White before. People have made Pinocchio a million times. But The Lion King just wasn't designed for a real world. It just doesn't work that way. And it just looked terrible. And what was another terrible one that Disney recently did? I mean, even though they've made live action versions of the Jungle Book by many different companies, but their most recent live action Jungle Book was awful. I mean, have you guys seen it? Like, Christopher Walken was rapping. Like, what?
I haven't seen. I don't think I've saw.
Yeah, I'm a big Jon Favreau fan, but that wasn't his best work.
Yeah, I mean that by the end of that movie, I was just like, oh my gosh, we got to put a stop to this.
Yeah,
we still have to put a stop to this shit.
Yeah.
What is your? Oh, you go ahead and read it.
No, go ahead.
Well, you pulled the question away. What is your favorite Disneyland ride besides Tours that no longer exists? Although Star Tours still exists, but
okay, one that no longer exists.
The original Star Tours.
Yeah, I guess. You can't take me over. Just kidding.
It would probably have to be either Wait, what would you say I couldn't say?
I said you can't say People Mover, but I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say People Mover. Okay, so if I can't say People Mover, then I would definitely say like America Sings.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
as dated as that ride got, there was something so cool about it. And I'm sure if it was updated a little bit with some more modern songs, or at least modern takes on the songs,
Yeah.
it would have still been pretty cool. And you know,
I always watch your 4th of July thing when you do that.
yeah, I didn't even get to do it this year because I
this
was
year you
so
didn't do it.
busy.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say though, they're gonna update Country Bears and Disney World with updated songs, the Disney songs. So you got to watch what you wish for when you update.
You know, I never liked Country Bears to begin with. I know everybody's a huge fan of that attraction, but I don't know. You know, what it reminds me of, even though it's like the original like bear animatronic show, it reminds me of a Tacky Bear animatronic show. You know, like the kind of thing that you would
inside Disney without the pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, it's like even like roadside attractions in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, "Oh, we have a little animatronic doodad show," and it's like, what? You know, I just never liked it. You know, and I think the other thing too is that I'm not a fan of. Sorry, you guys, I'm not a fan of country music, so I don't. There's nothing in there in the Country Bear Jamboree that I like. I think the only country music I like might be one or two songs by Dolly Parton, but that's just because you know she's a legend. But yeah, you know, that's yeah.
If I had to bring back something besides an attraction, obviously People Mover or Sky Buckets or whatever, but Big Thunder Barbecue. I want another barbecue place like that. That was my favorite thing.
You know what? I would agree. I was thinking about that the other day because I remember when they had it, I wanted to eat there, and I only got a chance once to do that. So thankfully, at least I did. But it was so good, and it was on the more expensive side, but it was still all you can eat. So you know you could make that money back. But you know, but then they got rid of it in 2015 to make way for Galaxy's Edge, and so I never got a chance to go there again. But you know what else was really cool about that place? It was one of those corners of the park where you could just relax and get away from the hustle and bustle, especially at night. It was so cool at night.
Didn't they have like a petting zoo or something?
Yeah.
They did, Big Thunder Ranch, and then during Christmas time they had the reindeer. They had Santa's reindeer there.
Yeah,
which you couldn't pet them, but
they had that cow there for a while that had the Mickey Mouse on the side.
Yes,
oh, I forgot about that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Missy Moose, I think her name was. But yeah, she was a cow with and she got famous because
she's at Hungry Bear now. The cheeseburger.
And then every year, the president would pardon a turkey, and the turkey would be sent to Disneyland to live at Disneyland. So when they got rid of Big Thunder Ranch, it was this big ordeal because here were all these animals that were donated or sold to Disney, you know, from all over the country that people loved for one reason or another, and then they had to like go away, you know. Yeah.
Before we get to this question, Zach had this other thing to say. And Treasure Planet actually, I mean, if you go back to the original pirate movie, that's like what Disney got his idea for, like Pirates of the Caribbean. So,
that'd be good. And Atlantis, that's still one of my. It's not my favorite, but it's one of the movies I really like to watch from the early 2000s. Is the movie Atlantis? It is so underrated. Actually, it's a really good movie, and I think that would be kind of a cool movie to see live action. Actually, so yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. If you were an Imagineer, what would you create?
If I was an Imagineer, what would I create? I'm one of the worst people at designing new things for the park, but you know, I have this idea in my head of how I would completely redo Tomorrowland in a way that made it once again more it would give it more kinetic movement and stuff, and make it actually look futuristic without looking too far away from what Walt originally intended. So yeah, I have ideas in my head for how to bring back like the People Mover and stuff in a way that is entertaining but also still relaxing as it used to be. Redoing the monorail system and enlarging it, making it bigger and easier to walk and sit in, and carry more passengers, all that kind of stuff.
Although ours looks, I say ours, but Disneyland looks cooler, I think, because of the sleekness. But yeah, you can stand up in Disney Worlds.
Yeah,
You do that in Disneyland. So would you keep like the retro futuristic look, or?
I would keep the look of like the mid-century, the way it looked in the 60s, but
Yeah,
I would completely alter the land. Yeah, like I think like most of the like my plan for it, most of the buildings in the land would be demolished, but they would be rebuilt in the same style of the 1960s.
The whole movie Tomorrowland is that whole look. Like those are the buildings. Like that's what I would, if it wasn't my Tron idea that I had, it would be that. Like they already have it. Like just make it look like that. And have cool rides and whatever. But
I think they were hoping that Tomorrowland movie would be big because then they could redo Tomorrowland, but it didn't end up being very big.
It's kind of taking on a cult following now. It wasn't that bad. It could have been better, but it wasn't.
It wasn't that bad, and just like you said, it could have been better. Like I thought, like I felt like the movie ended too short. Like there was more story to tell that they could have, like Why?
And I think they like you said, they were hoping it would pay off and they would have a sequel, and then they can change everything and whatever reason that Tron sequel didn't do as well, and it kind of shelved all the future movies for everything. So
yeah,
but Tron even was one of my favorite movies. There's no reason that I saw that movie like I don't know, a handful of times in the theater myself. So anyway, any other questions?
Here's from Steve. Here's a good question. Which you think was better, the 1950s Mission to the Moon or the 1970s Mission to Mars?
I have never seen Mission to Mars. I've seen Flight to the Moon, and I've also seen Rocket to the Moon. That's the two different versions of the same moon ride. But I've never seen Mission to Mars. But I do imagine that Mission to Mars was probably a lot better of an experience because of the technology improvements. Whereas, the original Rocket to the Moon from 1955, you literally like sat in this tiny little theater, and above you and below you was a screen that was, very hard to see. It was very blurry and very tiny by today's standards. And, and the images on it were like paintings that were being zoomed in and out of. So it didn't look very realistic at all. But I imagine Mission
was the same.
Oh, was it the same? Yeah. It's got to be something similar. Yeah. But
so we have another guest.
We do.
Boom.
No way.
Mr. LMG Vids himself.
Well,
it's Mr. Vids.
I kept looking at it every 10 minutes, and I was like, oh yeah, you have to contact the host. I'm like, okay, well, and I checked it. I'm like, oh, I can actually join now. So I joined.
That's weird.
So welcome to my show. I mean, Jason's show.
And now that it's over, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Seriously, we were like about to end it, but yeah.
Were you really about to end it?
Well, I mean, we can go further now, I guess.
Sure.
Do you have any questions?
Do I have any questions? I mean, not really.
Not really.
Oh.
Everybody's saying hi to Chris.
Me on, prematurely invited me on, so I don't really have any questions. Weren't we talking about? Oh no, we were talking about Disney, right?
We can talk about anything.
No. Yeah. I mean, like it is because you have Alex Destor in here. He's more of an Ocean Liner YouTuber.
We talked about Disney though. We're still talking about Disney right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
we are. Yeah.
I have my white gloves on for white glove service.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally
And now he takes them off.
that joke.
I thought you were checking your room for dust.
No,
Well,
no,
get off,
no,
you
no.
guys. So, Chris, do you have any questions for me? Maybe it could be
do I
about
have any
Disney.
questions for you?
It could be about my time at Disney. It could be, I don't know, Disney things I've done, the worst things I've ever done at Disneyland.
There you go.
Well,
I'm like giving him
that time
answers.
we were
and he's like,
trying to live
I don't want to
stream.
ask an inappropriate question like that. One time, Alex like kicked the baby down the stairs at Disneyland.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I have to be really careful. Very careful. Well,
Or you broke the
Alex used to be a really big YouTuber when it came to Disney history. A lot of people came to him with Disney history. So why don't you tell the chat about that? How Auntie Mays, whatever that black lady that used to be on the syrup. I forgot her name.
Aunt Jemima.
Aunt Jemima. Yeah, that lady. What her connection to Disneyland?
So people know the Aunt Jemima pancake syrup, which now today is called like something like something
Yep.
Mills, like
Peter Mill or Pepper Mill or
yeah, Pepperidge Farm. No, not Pepperidge Farm. But yeah, so everybody knows Aunt Jemima pancake mix and syrup. Well, Disney had a contract with them way back in Walt's day. It was after the park opened. I think it was like I want to say late 1950s, early 1960s, and they created the Aunt Jemima Pancake House, which was located in Frontierland. And the idea of that place was it was a breakfast place. And today that is called Riverbell Terrace, and it's still, the building is still there, and it looks much like it did in the 60s and 70s. But yeah, the Aunt Jemima Pancake House was there, and the coolest thing about it was that a representative of the company was there. Her name was Aileen Lewis, but she was dressed up as Aunt Jemima. So today we would be like, oh, that's terrible. You can't do that. But in reality, Aileen Lewis was very proud of being Aunt Jemima because, I mean, I think one of the things, though, was that like way back then, there weren't as many Black celebrities in the white limelight as there are today. So she was proud to represent, a brand, proud to represent, something that was big, something people recognized. And but the other thing too was that she was really good at what she did. When she was there, she would actually teach people how to make pancakes. So she would show them, here's how you do it, here's how you cook it, blah blah blah. But she also walked around and meted and greeted with people and would have a great chat with them. It was not like what you might think where it's like, oh, here's this like mascot who's just like, hi, I'm Aunt Jemima. It wasn't like that. It was like you got to talk to a real person, you got to have conversation with her, and she would just like be this really fun, really great personality that you got to interact with. And Walt Disney loved her. He would go there almost every time he was at Disneyland. He would go there to eat for breakfast, and he would talk to Aileen Lewis. And there's like even photographs. I don't have them, but there are photographs of Walt Disney sitting and chatting with Aileen Lewis, and it was just really great. And he even made sure that she was paid very well and stuff like that because he really, really enjoyed her company. So yeah, that was a pretty neat little thing about the Aunt Jemima Pancake House. But then it later became Riverbell Terrace in the late 70s.
And now it's garbage.
Yeah.
So Zach is asking, is it true Disneyland made Doritos by frying tortilla?
I'll let Alex answer it. He's the I most Disney fans know it, but I think Alex knows a bit more.
Yes. So it started out
Way to
as
be humble, Alex.
I don't know what humble means. So so it started out as a restaurant called Casa de Fritos, and it was sponsored by the Frito-Lay company. And it was basically, believe it or not, it was the first Mexican restaurant in Orange County. There was no Mexican restaurants in Orange County before that. So Casa de Fritos was the first. And they had really good food. People enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, they'd have all these like tortillas that were never served to customers. They had all these tortillas that were left over and they would otherwise be thrown in the trash. So, the management was thinking, is there a way that we could reuse these tortillas or something? and so basically they decided to, cut them up into the triangles and then fry them up and put some basic spices on them. And they called them Doritos, which is Spanish for little golden things. And they ended up being really popular at Disneyland, like really, really popular. And the Frito-Lay company thought, you know what? Let's turn this into a chip that we can sell. And next thing you know, Doritos are like some of the most popular chips sold in the United States. So, yeah, started off at Disneyland in the first Mexican restaurant in Orange County.
I remember it was only taco flavor was the only flavor they had until recently, with the Cool Ranch and all the other stuff they have now, nacho cheese. And
I tried their loaded taco flavor. Not very good. Tastes like cabbage.
Yeah, usually the loaded foods.
Tastes like cabbage.
The loaded food is like, it's usually really drenched in stuff. It doesn't taste that great usually. I mean, like, you can tip the basket to the right or left, and there'll be like liquids like flowing out of it, like a carcass. So it's pretty, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Alex, tell us more about Disneyland.
Oh my god.
Weren't you guys playing a game earlier?
We did our Bruce Sky thing, Imagineering thing.
you remember that, Chris?
I remember that. Yeah. Very entertaining.
Well, as soon as you joined, the conversation ended. No. No, I'm trying to, I was gonna mention something that I think it had to do with you, Chris, at Disneyland. Yes, okay.
Oh, great.
One of my favorite memories with Chris at Disneyland is it was you, me, and Steve, and we were at Disneyland on Main Street, and you're like standing on the edge of the curb when the piece of the
Oh, that
curb
one, yeah.
falls off, just breaks off, and he almost like kind of trips on it. He's like, "Whoa, look at that! This just broke off." And so he puts the concrete piece back. He's like, look. He's like, it's all wobbly, and he's like, like with his foot, he's like wobbling it back and forth. He's like, somebody could trip on this. And next thing you know, I turn around and there's like a security guard who's like looking at us from a distance, like, what are you guys doing? Kind of like, and I'm like, stop doing that. The security's looking at us. He's gonna think you broke that. And so like we started walking away, and I saw the security guard guy go straight to it and was like looking at it, and I was like, let's go.
We have so many of those memories with stuff like that. Like the favorite one where you were live streaming, Alex, and you were using my phone to live stream, and Chris.
Oh my god!
I was using Chris's phone, and Chris was using your phone.
So I had just gotten that Osmo Pocket from Jason, and I wanted to find a way to use it to live stream on my phone. And so Chris was like, well, let me help you. So he takes my phone and he's like all messing with it. And I'm like, well, I'm in the middle of a live stream. I wanted to live stream. And so I think, did I use yours, Steve, or did I use Chris's phone?
No, you were using my phone. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was using your phone to live stream on my channel. And meanwhile, Chris was already live streaming on his channel, and Chris handed you his phone to hold on to it. So we each had each other's phones. Yeah, so we each had each other's phones, and we're like all stopped, and we're like, we're all live streaming. We all got each other's.
They're all going, this is the best live stream ever.
I remember everybody in the chat was laughing so hard.
Yeah, that was funny. That was fun. And the time you went to shake Dale's hand or Chip's hand.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it.
So
but I remember you told me.
You didn't see that?
I didn't see it. No.
Yeah. So I was. Well, who was I with? I forget. I with you?
With me? Steve. Yeah.
With Steve. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was nighttime. We're in Tomorrowland. I'm with Steve, and we're over by the Tomorrowland Terrace, and then that's where like Chip and Dale are there, like, meet and greeting with people and shaking hands. And I'm just standing way off to the side, and whoever it was, Chip or Dale, I don't remember which one it was. They were done meeting and greeting with people, and they were going to start walking away. So they start walking towards me because that's their way out. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. They're walking towards me. And like, And like I was like, hey, like Chip or Dale or whichever one it was. And they were like waving back at me, and as they're walking towards me, they didn't watch their step, and they bumped their foot on some kind of raised part of the ground, and they started like tripping right in front of me and fell right over, like flat on the face. And I was like, oh no.
Right away, you ran away.
and like he got up and he just like looked around and like just took off. So I was like, oh man, that's
I don't know if you guys
bad.
talked about this, but Alex always has like the worst of luck when it comes to like Disney things.
Oh,
So
everything.
the worst of luck, the worst things always follow him at Disneyland. That's one of the things you told me about all, but like no matter what you eat, if it has meat in it at Disneyland, you always
No,
have
no,
right?
no matter what I eat, it disappears. So like
Oh, yeah.
it's
From the
so
menu,
whenever because I was always on the lookout for like food that I liked at Disneyland. And whenever I found something that I liked to eat, I would start going there to order it, and then eventually they'd just get rid of it. They'd either get rid of what I liked or they'd get rid of the location.
Remember with us with the pancakes and scrambled eggs and bacon all the time. And then they
Yeah.
got rid of it. It
Yeah,
went
I
from
mean,
Rancho del Zocalo to what was it? The Beauty and the Beast.
well, that
thing.
was
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
Oh, the tavern.
Village House. It turned into the
Red Rose.
Red Rose
Yeah,
Tavern.
and then
And that's
from
the
there
thing
it
about
just disappeared. Yeah.
this thing about Village House. So this started way back in 2009 when I was working as a cast member at Disney. I was like, I need to find something that I can eat for breakfast. I always had the morning shifts, and because I loved morning shifts, but I always wanted to have a good breakfast, but I didn't want to like overload myself with like fat food. So I wanted to like have something that was somewhat, So I found out that Village House sold a breakfast that was basically like fruit, a bran muffin, some yogurt. And I'm like, this is perfect. I'll eat this,
Yeah.
And so I started ordering that every morning. And then eventually they just got rid of it. And I'm like, well, did you replace it with anything? They're like, no, we just got rid of it. I'm like, why would you get rid of a fruit plate? Like, And so like
They were like, there's only one guy buying it.
yeah, I know. They're like,
Yeah.
we got one customer and it's you. No, but or unless they knew I was ordering there and they just didn't want to see me around anymore. But then for lunch, they started selling the same restaurant, Village House, started selling this this pretzel bratwurst hot dog, and it was so good because it was on a pretzel bun, and I loved it. And I maybe ordered that twice, and then the third time I came back, they're like, oh, we don't sell that anymore. I'm like, what? Like, let me remind you guys, these are restaurants that they add an item and it's there for 10 years, right? So this place was like adding items and like it would disappear after like 2 months. And so there was that. And then when I became a vlogger, I would come to the park and I would go to like Red Rose Tavern, which used to be Village House. And I would go there and get like breakfast. And then they would be like, oh, we're out of pancakes. And I'm like, it's 9:45. It doesn't switch over to lunch till 11. How are you out of pancakes? Like
you just make more. It's not hard.
Exactly. I'm like, you guys, I'm like, they have the
kitchen.
second largest kitchen in the whole resort. I'm like, they have the ingredients to make pancakes. I've been down there. I'm like, they have the ingredients. And so yeah, they'd run out of food all the time. Or like, I like my favorite burger there, the Beast Burger, used to be loaded with meat. It was the best burger you've ever had because it was like a huge patty and it had like pulled pork on top. It was so good. And then they replaced the pork with cabbage. So that already I was pretty pissed off. They replaced the pork with cabbage. And then eventually, like, it just tasted so bad, I stopped ordering it. And then the pancakes too. I started getting pancakes that were like biscuits. It was just like, what? So every single time, I mean, it never failed. You know how they sell turkey legs at the park? I was telling somebody the other day that one of my favorite things was just across from Matterhorn. They started selling a pork shank. So it was like a whole shank of pork, slow cooked, delicious, side of barbecue sauce. And I ordered that thing once. I came back the next day. They're like, oh, we dropped it from the menu. I'm like,
yeah.
So yeah. This always happens. It just
Yeah, and the Thai place that I took you to, the next time they went out of business.
Right. Yes. I asked Steve. I said, Steve, because this is when I lived in Orange County. I'm like, I'm looking for a Thai place, but I can never find a Thai place. Steve's like, I got the right place for you. He's like, this place has been around for decades. So he takes me to this Thai place, and I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna eat here all the time. And then they went out of business. I was just like, oh my God. And then not to mention the other Disneyland curses where I would make a video and something would go wrong with that ride.
The Matterhorn.
I made a video about the Matterhorn, and like a few days later, this huge chunk of concrete fell off the Matterhorn, and they had to close it for like weeks or months or something like that to repair it. Or I made my Jungle Cruise video, and that's when the Jungle Cruise boat at Walt Disney World sank. I made a Splash Mountain video, and then like something wrong happened, and the log got jammed in the ride, and they had to like close it for like a week because it created like some kind of damage. It was like every time I posted a video, it was like it would damage a ride. I was starting to get really afraid that I was going to kill somebody.
Well, maybe if you make a ride about the People Mover, they'll bring it back.
No, the People Mover track is gonna fall on someone. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna careen off the track and. Oh my God, I am cursed.
It's a skill.
Well, I mean, heck, the last. The time I fell in love with the Queen Mary, they closed it afterwards.
The first time we ever went to the Queen Mary, and then Alex made a video about it, and then they closed for like a year and a half, I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's just like the worst curses I have. It's just craziness.
And then all the ghost stories you had
from working at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Those are some really weird stories. And me and my dad were actually talking about it the other day because he had all these other stories about working at Disneyland Hotel and stuff, and all these weird ghost stories there. It's a truly haunted place, and if only you could be there after hours, you would definitely see or experience something. That place is just active as heck.
Yeah, the Haunted Mansion is pretty spooky at night.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions, guys? Or
I don't know.
Let's
do you have any questions for Alex specifically, or any of us?
Oh, here comes something. LOL.
Want to hear about something haunting?
Yeah, I want to hear more about the haunting.
You got a specific?
Hey, what about what was his name? Frankie or whatever? Freddie. Yeah, Freddie.
Yeah, so Freddie was he still is a very well-known haunt of the Golden Horseshoe. The Golden Horseshoe is a restaurant in Frontierland, and it was the first place I ever worked at Disneyland. And it was actually kind of funny because when I first started there, I mean, nobody mentioned anything about ghosts. They still don't. If you start off at Golden Horseshoe, they don't mention ghosts. It's not the first thing that you hear about. But when I worked there, I had closing shifts all the time because I was the newbie. So I got the worst shifts. Well, supposedly the worst shifts. I actually loved the closing shifts. But so I would work the closing shifts, and like the first thing I would notice, it started off kind of like gently. I would like work there, and it would be late at night. It'd be time to stack all the chairs. We stacked them on top of the table. So that way third shift cast members who came in at 3 a.m. would come and like, they would polish the floors. I got a whole other thing about the floors I got to tell you about later. Just remind me about the floors. But so I would like stack all the chairs, and then I would finish stacking the chairs by the second level. And then I'd come back down and I'd take out the trash, and that'd be it for the night. And so I finished stacking the chairs. I come downstairs to gather the trash, and I hear like this shuffling on top of one of the tables. And so like I stop and I look over, and like one of the chairs is like on the floor, just standing up. And I was like, that's weird. So I go back over and I put it back on the stack. We stacked it in such a way that the chairs interlock. So there's a chair standing up, there's two chairs on the side that interlock that way, and then there's a chair on top of that that locks it all together. And so the chair that was on top was unlocked and put down on the floor. So there's no way it could have fallen, because if you try to push it, the whole pile will come down. So that was really weird. And then so that would stuff like that would kind of happen, or like I would notice like one time the trash thing, that I had like a dumpster that I would bring in, the trash dumpster started like rolling down the walkway towards the front door, and I thought that's really strange, but I probably thought like, it's probably just like a downward slope or something, but then like I would work there, and then I would hear like knocking on a door, and it was this little door in the corner of the restaurant, and if you were to go into that door, there's a series of rooms beyond it, and those rooms are like where they keep like extra food, extra supplies, extra like cups, napkins, and plates and things like that. And those rooms were what we collectively called Freddy's room, because that is where we had this like somewhat malevolent spirit that kind of haunted it. But you see, at the time I didn't know it was haunted, and I heard this knocking from the door, and I walk over to it thinking like, is there someone in there? So I open the door, I look inside, I see nothing wrong, it's just everything's normal. And I go to the door beyond it and I look inside. The door beyond it is like 3 feet tall, maybe 4 feet tall, maybe. But I open the door, I look inside, nobody else is in there. And so I stopped
This
doing that.
upstairs, right? This is upstairs.
It was upstairs, yeah. It was upstairs. And so I go back downstairs and I go outside. I'm throwing away the trash, and my shift lead from the other restaurant was like, "Oh, hey, how's your shift at Golden Horseshoe?" I'm like, "It's so weird." I'm like, I keep sensing these weird things happening. The chair and the knocking on the door. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's typical." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Didn't anybody tell you like the place is haunted?" And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's like several different spirits there." And I told him, I was like, "I heard knocking on the door of that room." He goes, "Oh yeah, that's Freddy." And I'm like, what is, who's Freddy? Like, what is that? And he's like, yeah, he's like, he usually likes to like taunt the workers who are there like late at night and, who are closing up. And he's like, you often hear like knocking on the door, but there's nobody there. And so it started off as that, but then it became like more and more, where it was like you would see like a shadow figure in the corner just standing there watching you stacking chairs and stuff like that. Or like one time I had finished stacking chairs, I went downstairs and I heard the knocking at the door, and I remember just kind of going like, I don't believe in ghosts, blah blah blah, I don't know who that is, and then next thing I know, a pile of chairs just flew over the balcony and into the center of the room, knocking down more chairs and tables. And I was just like, whoa. And then next thing I know, one of my coworkers comes in, just like, I heard like this loud noise, what was that? And I told him like, this freaking thing flew down and like smacked into all these tables. And so she was just like, I heard it's haunted, but I've never seen anything like that. I'm like, no, so, but yeah. And then there was the little girl, and the little girl was the first ghost I ever actually saw with my own eyes. I was working there. I'd already been there for like a year, so I was very used to the ghosts, and we knew that there was a ghost that haunted the stage of Golden Horseshoe. She would run around and move the curtains and stuff, and you'd see like the corner of the curtain would suddenly go like that, like someone flipped it open with their hand to go past it. And you'd hear all the time, like the customers, even during the day, they're like, "Oh, I think there's a little girl on the stage running around. Maybe you should like try to like, get her to come down." And so like all the time, like me, other coworkers, whatever, we'd get reports of that. We'd go to look and there's nobody on the stage. And but one day I'm there with my coworker. She's very new to Golden Horseshoe, and I'm kind of like showing her around how to do the job, and because she's going to be closing. And so I'm standing there with her. and it's closing time, and we're upstairs, and there's like one last family that's like sitting and eating their food on the upper balcony, and it's like a mother, a father, a little boy, and a little girl. And so I'm like talking to my coworker way off in the corner about like, oh yeah, there are ghosts here and blah 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 blah. And the little girl kind of like looks over at us like, like she's overhearing it. And so I'm like keeping an eye on that. I'm like, maybe we should be quiet. And soon enough, as we're like talking about something else, she walks up to us, the little girl, and she's like, is this place haunted? And so I look at my coworker. I told her, I'm like, no, it's not. Why would you think that? And she just looked at us and she went, because I think I just saw a ghost. And then she just like turned around and walked back to her seat. And I looked at my coworker. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think she overheard us. And now she thinks the place is haunted. And so we're just like, okay, well, let's just go downstairs and just, get ready for everybody to leave. So we go downstairs. There's no one else in the restaurant except the people upstairs. And we were waiting for them to come down and exit out the front door. And we're just standing there by the front door. Finally, the father, the mother, and the son come down, and they start walking out the front door. And my coworker goes, oh, well, where's your daughter? And like the woman turns around and she goes, we don't have a daughter. And my coworker and I looked at each other like, what? And finally we're just like, oh, okay, well, have a good night. And they walk out, and the door closed behind them. And we looked at each other, and we immediately went up the stairs. There's two different staircases. I went up one way, she went up the other way, went up there and looked around, and there's nobody up there, no little girl. So yeah. So from that point on, we knew that we finally saw the little girl. And that was the only time before that, that I had ever seen a ghost with my own eyes, besides a shadow figure or something. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Now Steve's like, maybe Alex and Chris can talk about their recent experience on B deck forward on the Queen Mary.
Yeah, Chris, that's the story of
where you were videotaping or recording in that voice.
But unfortunately, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
everybody loved his ghost butt story.
everyone likes it. It's funny because it's true. But the Queen Mary one is more serious. I guess that's the word to use.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really know too much about the Queen Mary. I know generally I was next to like an abandoned room or a room used for storage, and we're down there. I'm talking to Alex on my headphones, right? I have headphones, Bluetooth headphones on. I'm talking to Alex. Alex is telling me, "Oh, go over here, record this. Go over here. Go over here." If you guys don't know, Queen Mary is like this really old ship that's docked in Long Beach. It's kind of looks like Titanic, but it's actually bigger. And basically, we were really deep in the ship, and he was like, "Oh, go over here and record the synagogue for me." I'm like, "Okay." So I go over there. I'm talking to him, and then literally in my ear, I hear like, I step back. I'm recording, so you hear it in the video. I'm like, "What the heck was that?" Right? And Alex is like, "What do you mean? What the heck is that?" I was like, "I heard someone whispering in my ear." Then Alex was like, "Oh, I heard it too." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of weird." I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, "Oh, there's a lot of metal in the Queen Mary, whatever. I don't really care. It's probably just some interference." So I went throughout the whole day, the whole recording of that floor, which is B deck. And on B deck, I kind of felt like someone was following me, but again, I didn't really care. I was like, whatever. It's just the ship being creepy, AC units, whatever. And then I gave the footage to Alex. And Alex previewed the footage, and he came back to me. And he was like, "I think you caught a ghost." And we watched the video together. And right when I heard that sound, you see a little like orb like fly into the frame, and it's like this blue orb that goes like this, and it goes into the wall, and then disappears, and it flies back out to the camera, then goes back into the wall. I've shot in I do a lot of video work, so I've shot in dark places with a flashlight, and I see what dust looks like. Dust moves like this. So when you go past it, it goes like that. I've never seen dust fly away, disappear,
And then come
come
back,
back.
yeah.
I've never seen that, and then fly away again. I've never seen dust like that. 'Cause I was moving toward and moving away, but it moved away from me, moved toward me, moved away.
And
So
it
I've
didn't
never seen that before.
it didn't like float, right? It was squiggling
Yeah,
like that.
so
like
it's
and
squiggling.
Yeah, it was squiggling like that, and it moved from one end of the shot to the other in less than a second. So it was just like, and then it went into the wall, and then it came back out again, and that was like the weirdest thing. And it was blue, and some people were like, "Oh, it's dust," and it's like, and me and Chris will say, "No, that's not dust. Dust does not move like that. I've
No,
seen dust. Believe me."
I've been recording. Abandoned places, rides, and a bunch of things with flashlights, just with low light.
And Chris, what would you say to someone that would say, "Oh, that's camera glare"?
That's not camera glare. 100%. Yeah, because camera glare only happens when there's a bright light going into the lens. I have a lens that is literally designed to not have camera glare. That lens is designed not to have it.
Is that's your low light?
That's my low light camera. I specifically built it to record Disneyland rides. So it's like it's really good at low light. It isn't prone to glare. So if you use an iPhone and you put it in a light, you see these blue lights moving around, but they don't do this. It's usually like a glare. It'll be like a solid circles.
It's a solid like green.
Yeah, but it's a bunch of circles too, because the light bounces back and forth between the elements. It wasn't like that. It was a single line and it was squiggling. I've never seen that. There's no like there's no explanation physically for a camera to do that. It doesn't make sense. Glare doesn't look like that. I've seen glare multiple times. Yeah, I've seen glare. I've seen dust. So it wasn't either.
Yeah, and so that's why when I saw that, I knew immediately. I'm like, I know what I've got the kind of brain where if I see like evidence of a ghost or something like that, I start to think of all the reasons why that's not a ghost. I think of all the, I'm very mechanically minded. I know all the stuff about, like about the way light works, the way, bugs and gnats and, light glare and all that kind of stuff. Like anything that people would think of that's like, oh, that's not a ghost. I already thought of it. And I'm like, no, I've reviewed all this stuff. I thought about it very deeply. I'm like, this is a ghost. I'm like, because there's no way. And I've seen a ghost orb just like that before when I lived in a haunted apartment with my sister and my brother-in-law. And I saw a ghost orb there and it looked just like that. It moved just the exact same way.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What was the one that you had the voice? You guys were
that was at Alex's haunted apartment, and we were doing a recording of Titanic: Honor and Glory.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were
that
recording.
Was weird. I was trying to hear what
weird.
that person or that thing
was
saying.
It was pretty clear. It's just in a different language, so I don't know what.
Yeah.
It was
that's the thing.
It
was very, very clear. But yeah, I gave up on it being like English. I'm like, no, I think that's a different language. And the thing is that like where I live, it used to be occupied by Native Americans. It was all Native American land, and they often came here for like, seasonal stuff or whatever. But I'm convinced that is a native language. The only thing is I don't know what language it is, and I don't know anybody who speaks it who could translate it. So, it sounds like a Native American language. Growing up, I spent a lot of time around friends who were Navajo, and I went to their reservation, and I would always hang out with their family and stuff. So I've listened to Navajo, and I'm like, okay, I know what Native American languages sound like firsthand. Like this sounds Native American, but I just don't know what it is, what language it is. So
you should just post it on like Reddit or something and let them try to figure it out.
I don't know. I don't really trust giving stuff to Reddit. Reddit usually.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that was weird. I remember that. Yeah.
There's so many, I've had so many experiences now with the paranormal that I'm just like, and it all happened after, I got my first job. So before that, I never had experiences with the paranormal. I mean, as a kid, like a little kid, you get scared of the dark all the time. So, becoming a teenager, I was always like, oh, whatever I experienced in the past could be chalked up to just darkness or whatever, and just being a little kid who's afraid of everything. But after working at Disneyland, and I was starting to get convinced, like, you know what, I'm actually starting to think that ghosts are real. And then, and then living in that haunted apartment and then finding out all the things that ended up being factual about that apartment, I was just like, okay, now I believe in ghosts.
Yeah, it's weird.
Ugh, man.
All right.
So, anything else, Chris?
Just turned into a ghost story time here.
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
just missed Halloween.
should we do a 180 back to Disney, or should we try to lighten the mood and talk about something more happy?
Or do you guys want to hear the craziest story I ever had working at Disneyland?
All right, let's hear that.
Sure. Is it the
Nah,
Florida
you
one?
don't want to hear it.
Is it a time where you had the meetup and you met Chris?
No. I was like, Chris, can I get your autograph? No.
Yeah.
But- oh my god. So you guys can actually look this up. This is a real thing that happened. Obviously I wouldn't lie to you guys. But basically this was 2011. I was working in guest relations and I was stationed at the Lost and Found, which is just outside the park gates. And it was early morning and I was opening up the window. I was getting the computer started and getting everything ready to go for our Lost and Found center. And next thing I know, this woman from what's it called? The department, guest services department. They were the people that sell tickets and stuff at the booths. She walks up to my window and she goes, excuse me. She's like, do you know whose, package that is? And I look over and she's pointing up into this tree where there's like a black package of some, to me, it just looked like a blob, but some people say it was a box. Some people say it was a backpack, but to me, it was a blob and it was taped to the top of the trunk of the tree in the Esplanade area. And I'm like, no, I don't know what that is. And so she was like, okay, I'm going to, call security. I'm like, okay, we had very strict rules that if you see something like that, you call security. So eventually security comes out and they're like, oh yeah, that is concerning. So they're like, we're going to create a perimeter around it so nobody goes around it. So by this time, they created this big perimeter that was just outside the window of our building. And we had guests that were starting to come to the front gates to wait to enter Disneyland. So they're all piling up in the Esplanade. And then more security comes out to look at this bag. And they decide that, that they need to expand the perimeter a bit more. So it ended up having to close our office because it was within the perimeter. And when I say close the office, like they literally walked up to my window and they said, get out, go to Main Street right now. And so I had to just drop everything and walk out into Main Street. And then from there, right as I was doing that, they opened Disneyland, they opened California Adventure. So the park started piling in with guests. And I would say the park was open no longer than 15 minutes when the Anaheim PD arrived to look at it. And they said, okay, this is really concerning. Make the perimeter bigger. We need to make sure people are as far away from this thing as possible. So security ended up having to expand the perimeter to envelop the entire Esplanade, which meant closing Disneyland and California Adventure. And I remember we had only 1,000 guests in the park at that time, and we had to close the gates. And so we ended up closing the gates. I remember the Disneyland Railroad, one of the engines, it was CK Holiday, had pulled up to the station, and their security was already there to tell the engineers, get out. We got to clear this whole area. So we were pushed to just beyond where the horse-drawn streetcar comes to stop at Town Square. So that was where the perimeter was at that point. And then by that time, it had already been an hour since we discovered the package. And then Anaheim PD had called the SWAT team. So the SWAT team had come out to look at it and kind of say okay, what do we need to do from here? And they decided they needed to call the bomb squad. So by that point, they said expand the perimeter again. So they had to close the gates, the Harbor Boulevard gates to the shuttle area. And then they told us we're expanding the perimeter of Main Street again. So the all of Town Square on Main Street is going to be closed and you have to be pushed back further. And through this whole time, the guests who were in the park started getting like, like what is going on here? Because I had people coming up to me, they're like, oh, I need to go to California Adventure. And I'm like, no, you can't. They're like, we have reservations at a restaurant over there. I'm like, I'm sorry, but nobody's coming in or out of this park. Like, we can't do that. And they're like, what's going on? And Disney told us, they're like, don't tell the guests what's going on. Tell them that there's some kind of technical difficulty with the gates and we can't open them. I'm like, they're not going to buy that. And they're like, just tell that, so I ended up telling people who were walking up, they're like, what's wrong? Why can't we leave? And we're like, there's a technical difficulty. We can't let anybody in or out of the park. I was like, but you have the park to yourself. You can roam around and have fun. And, then they closed Space Mountain because Space Mountain was the closest ride to the danger zone. So, but everything else in the park, well, except Jungle Cruise 2, they closed Jungle Cruise as well. They couldn't have any Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, couldn't have anybody riding those attractions because they were closest to the area. And so then we had management coming around reminding us, okay, remember, if we need to evacuate the park, here's the evacuation routes. We can't use the Main Street evacuation route, obviously, and stuff like that. And so I was starting to get concerned because then it was showing up on like social media that there was a bomb in the resort. And I was like, oh my God, I always knew it, that we were going to get bombed. I'm like, but this is like the craziest thing. And so I remember like calling my dad. I'm like, I love you, Dad. I don't know if I'm going to make it out today, And so, yeah, we just kind of like held out. Bomb Squad finally came around like 11 a.m. and they checked out the item. And then soon after that, they're like, okay, park's open. Everything's open again. And they opened everything. And we're like, what was it? And from what I was told, it was a, what do you call that? Like a scavenger hunt thing. So it was the last item of the scavenger hunt and it was a prize and it was inside a bag or something like that, taped to the top of the tree. And it was put there by one of the visiting schools. So the school had come up with this game and had been there early in the morning to tape the package to the top of the tree. So that way none of their students would see it happening and wouldn't know where the end of the thing was. And you can bet that school was permanently banned from the resort forever. And oh my gosh, that was the craziest thing that happened. I remember there were news vans outside the resort all day because they were like, oh, there's a bomb threat at Disneyland and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this happened in November. No, I wouldn't say November, but it happened in 2011 sometime. I don't remember what month it was, but it happened in 2011. And it was the craziest bomb threat we ever had at the resort, because it was the only one that ended up, being such a big deal.
And luckily it was nothing.
Yeah, I was really happy it was nothing because, imagine that, you know that there's a bomb, right outside the front gates, and you have to tell all these innocent people that there's nothing wrong, that there's, oh, it's just a problem with our gate security system. Like, we have to, keep everybody in here. And it's like, full well that if that thing goes off, people are going to die, So yeah, that was pretty crazy.
So did Disney already have their no scavenger hunt policy in place, or is that what kind of made that?
That's what made that. I mean, they never had to think about it before, but yeah. And you'll be surprised how many people plant stuff for scavenger hunts around the park. I remember working years before that in Frontierland, and I'm like sweeping up and I see someone put something in the bushes, and I'm like, what the heck? So I walk over and I look through the bushes. I don't touch it because you're trained not to touch anything. So I look, and there was something in there, like a box or whatever. And so I called security, and security looked it out, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's looks like somebody put this here as a part of a scavenger hunt. So it's just we have people doing that all the time. And I had to remind guests all the time that Disneyland was like an airport. You can't just leave stuff around because we consider that a huge threat to public safety. I mean, there'd be people who would leave their backpack by their table so that way they could go get some food at a different restaurant and then come back 20 minutes later. They come back and then the whole our whole restaurant's closed and surrounded by security. And they'd be like, what happened? And I'm like, there's a backpack left. That's my backpack. And I'm like, you can't just leave a backpack. And, you know, even working at Golden Horseshoe once, there was a person who they had a backpack and they threw it into the trash can. And I'm like, who throws a whole backpack into a trash can? So I had to call security. But that was a funny story because I was working with my friend, or my coworker, but also friend, Gary. And he's like this really big buff black guy, you know. He's like way braver than I am. But even still, he and I are standing there and we're watching security like look through the trash cans, like, oh yeah, there is a bag in there, you know. And so me and Gary looking at each other like, oh my God, like what is that? And the security guy is like, I need to call backup. He's like, okay, backup. I need you to come check this out, whatever. And then so he asked me, he goes, is there a way to open this trash can? I'm like, yeah, there is. But I'm like, shouldn't you wait for backup? He goes, well, I better just see what it is first. And I'm like, all right. So I show him how to open the trash can. He pulls it out. And then and then he goes, oh, wow, it is a bag. And like, he starts opening it up and he's like rummaging through it. And I'm like, looking at my coworker, Gary, like this thing's going to go off in front of us. So me and him look at each other and we start taking steps back. And the security guard sees us and he goes, where are you guys going?
Oh, can you imagine? Where are you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
gotta be
turned
the
out.
first rule they say is don't touch it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they tell us. They're like, first rule, don't touch it. Call security. And with security, they gotta assess the outside of the bag first.
Yeah.
You know, and but that security guard just he thought for some reason that he should look inside, but inside was just an old sweater. So someone had put their old sweater in the backpack and threw the backpack away. I'm like, it's odd behavior, but you know, it's not against the rules.
That's
You know,
weird.
it's so strange that the culture between like America and like the other or Asian. Well, I'm talking specifically about like in Tokyo, people leave their purses, their bags. I mean, I've even seen people leave their laptops like in restaurants, right? And then like no one even bats an eye because it's just like it's the culture over there. You can say that's how people save seats. You don't sit there. You leave your stuff there. But it's so strange because you leave a backpack or a bag or anything on a table or anywhere suspicious in Disneyland, people freak out. But you do it in like Tokyo Disneyland, it's like, oh, someone's just saving a seat. It's really strange.
Mhm.
It's like well, that's kind of interesting.
I mean, that's how things started here until people started leaving bombs in packages.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, what a funny looking clock.
Yeah. why is this bag ticking?
Why is this thing ticking? What's up with this?
Oh, they're just saving their seat for that period of time.
Oh, it says 2 minutes. Oh, he must be coming back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
All right. Anything else, guys? Anyone?
Anyone? Anybody else watching?
It'll be the 5th time we've tried to end the show.
Don't go tell more stories.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah, I think
There you have it.
I think that's it.
See ya.
Yeah.
And we're out.
Steve has somewhere to go.
Yeah. Okay, seriously. So, 3-hour interview.
Yeah, but it was great.
No, yeah, obviously. It was fun times. That's why we kept
And
going.
then we get this guy showing up too.
I know. I don't know
Yeah.
why you couldn't get in before, but
Chris
I
is the
think
life of
I'm
the
just kidding.
party.
I didn't change any settings, so
That's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on.
think you everybody has good stuff to say.
Yeah.
I'll give you the password to the combination lock on Steve's train car so you guys can go in.
Yeah, we need to go see that.
We need to turn it into a spirit Halloween. So perfect.
All right. Well,
thanks
thank you guys
everybody
for joining.
yeah.
Thanks for Alex and Chris for joining us, but especially having you on, Alex. Finally,
Yeah,
it's been
it was
great.
great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you'll have to do like another right through video or something else that we do, and then join us on that.
Yeah.
yeah, those are fun. As Zach can attest to, he's done a couple of them with us.
Yeah.
In fact, he did a Peter Pan with us last night on a whim.
And thank you, LMG Vids.
Oh yes.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Vids.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Vids.
Checks in the mail, Chris, for letting us use your videos.
I just get a bunch of like IOUs in the
Yeah, it's pretty much it.
For using your copyrighted likeness.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in and for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends and family, and we will see you all on the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.